yes. Okay, so greetings, everybody. My name is Pasta Guy, and with me here today, there's always the wonderful Cupcake Paints as my co-host, and also here with me today are Trash Queen and Comic Cat, the two
What?
creators.
Really? Where?
You're so funny, so funny! Yay!
It's okay.
Congrats.
You don't have to make fun of my not very good joke. It's okay.
I was applauding you.
Yeah, but it was sarcastic.
Comic Cat and Trash Queen, the creators of the insanely popular AskFriskandCompany ass blog.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, could you possibly introduce yourselves to people who may
right.
not know
Okay.
who you are?
I'm known as Trash Queen. I along with my co-author Comic Cat run a Tumblr Ask blog called AskFriskandCompany, which has gotten a moderate amount of success, all things considered. A lot more than I expected when I started, but
Exactly as much as I expected.
It's Undertale. Toby Fox and you would expect.
I guess. Well, I started very early, so I didn't know how popular Undertale was going to become.
Mm-hmm.
But, well, I kind of saw, but I didn't. I don't know. I've been involved in popular fandoms before.
I'm a Comic Cat. I co-create the comic. I write stuff. I tell you when to do things more and better.
That's one way of putting it. Yes. So yeah, we have a whole bunch of questions that we're going to ask you over this next hour and a half or so, and also we'll be taking questions from the chat.
Okay.
Now I'm excited.
Okay, so yeah, so how about we start with the first question on this little sheet here. What made you want to start this ass blog? Yellow.
Uh-oh.
What?
Oh. Your internet.
Hell.
Did your internet break?
Hey, Comic Cat, Trash Queen, you there? We're not hearing you. Hello?
I've told this story before. How could this be?
No, it's cool. Just start from the top.
Okay, sorry.
Can you hear us now?
Yes, we can. We
Yes.
couldn't hear you before.
It's okay. Discord just decided to, not work.
Well, it all started. I was sort of dipping my toes into the My Little Pony fandom for a little while, which is I would say it's a pretty large fandom, or at least it was when I was involved. I don't know how big it is now. It's hard to say. I haven't dipped my toes back in a good long while, but back then I made like an OC character and I started an Ask blog about her. And it's still up somewhere, but it's gonna remain unfinished for the entirety of ever. But I had an OC called Sweet Tea, who was basically like my pony persona.
Because you like tea.
I like tea, and her special talent was writing fiction. She didn't do very much of that in the story. It's not very important what she did, but long story short, at some point while I was doing that blog, I had a bout of depression, and because of and I didn't know that it was depression at the time, because my idea of depression was sort of, in my own mind, I was like, oh, that's when you want to die, right? But it's not that simple. Sometimes it's just that you don't have the energy to do anything and you can't get up out of bed. You don't necessarily have to want to die to have depression, you know?
I mean, this whole podcast stopped for like a whole 3 months because I had depression.
Oh, hi. And what happened was I eventually I'd been trying to go to college. I didn't really see a point in why I was going, because it was just the thing you were supposed to do. And eventually I did start talking to my parents about it, and they got me in touch with medical help and therapists and stuff. And they eventually got me on some medication. And when that happened, I had been off of sweet tea for quite a really long time, as in the character and not the tea.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, I continue to drink tea all the time, but
I'm a coffee person myself.
And so all of a sudden, with the new medication, obviously I was still struggling with depression and stuff, but with the new medication, I suddenly had all this energy that I didn't have before, and it was like, whoa, what am I do with that? Whoa! And at about the same time, Undertale came out. And then at the same time, I played through Undertale. Had I'm sure you've heard this a million times from different people about the amazing experiences they have with it. And so I finished playing Undertale and everything, and then I was like, okay, now what? I need to read fan fictions or something. But the fandom was so small and early that there weren't any fan fictions. I couldn't just go on the internet and type in post-pacifist AU and get the post-pacifist AU that I wanted to read, because it didn't exist yet. So I'm like, wait, I have a thing that I want to exist and a whole bunch of artistic energy that I didn't have before. And this is a really new fandom, and there's probably a bunch of other people that are like, where's this highly specific thing that I want? So I could be the one who does it.
Yeah.
So I didn't think too hard about it. I just realized that I had an opportunity, and I jumped at it and figured, I bet I could have way more than the 100 or so followers I had on Sweet Tea. And then suddenly my followers were going in the thousands, and I was like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
What?
So I was just coming out of my depression bout, and also my tablet pen had broken. So actually, those first panels of AFAC that I did were all, I made them with a mouse, which is very difficult.
For those that don't know, drawing with a mouse is like the equivalent of trying to write something, trying to etch something into stone with a toffee hammer.
Try to write your name with a bar of soap.
Giant crayon.
But I found workarounds and stuff, and I got creative with
The
it.
straight line tool.
I use the straight line tool a lot.
Ah, the straight line tool.
Blessed be
And I still use the straight line tool a lot. It's pretty useful,
It's a good
especially with Papyrus, because he's got
Lots of straight lines.
a lot of straight lines on his limbs,
Yeah.
And also, yeah, Papyrus just
Anytime you
has
need to
lot
draw
of
a
straight
box,
lines.
straight line tool.
Anytime you needed to draw a box.
Yeah.
But you know, characters like Sans, for example, who are just made out of round shapes, that's a little difficult. I hadn't learned how to use the curved line tool yet. But yeah, I started working on that, and then at some point I was like, there's a whole bunch of people that like think I'm cool. I want to talk to some of them, because I was like, you know, kind of cripplingly lonely at the time, again, because I'd been in depression for a while and was still kind of depressed. So this was something that excited me, and I was craving excitement really hard. So I started like inviting random ass people into Skype calls. And at some point I met Comic Cat.
Yes. I came in around November of like the first year of the comic. So pretty early on.
This was during the middle of the Red Echoes arc, which is the very first major arc.
Yep.
Oh, I know. I was obsessed with this back in the day.
Mm-hmm. And that's when I came in. My story is sort of similar, except I haven't gone to get like medication or anything yet. Working on that. Got to get the money to go to doctor. But then, that's similar to mine. I was going to college. I ended up dropping out. Then I moved out here to California where we live. And, I've been working on the comic ever since.
And we're roommates.
Yeah, we're roommates.
Oh my god, they were roommates.
I was thinking of that pasta shit.
Yes.
So that's the long story, I guess.
Yeah. Short version of that, you had a lot of energy, and and it was the start of the fandom, and you were just like, hey, I could do that fanfic thing.
Yeah, and I'd always wanted to write or like get involved in that kind of thing, because I'd been involved in fandom before, but only as like an observer and a consumer. But I wanted to make something, and Deanna was making something that I liked, so I was like, hey, let's make something together.
Yeah.
And that is my name, by the way.
Oh, sorry, Trash Queen.
It's okay. It's not a secret that that's
my name's
like
a secret.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying your first name online. It's your full name that you gotta worry about. But, honestly, your story is kind of similar to what I experienced when I started to write stuff, because I am actually a fan fiction writer.
Okay.
And I started writing Undertale fan fiction because the stories that I wanted weren't being made, or they were being made, but there were only like a couple of them, and there were only a couple chapters, and I was just like, I want more. So yeah.
Sometimes you gotta make what you want that
Fill the
doesn't
void.
exist yet.
Yeah, basically, creative types, something that they want doesn't exist, fine, I'll do it myself.
I'll do it myself. Thanos, no.
No. So, it was both in the YouTube chat, but also on the Twitch chat now. Nikhil, I think, is that pronounced the name? Yes, okay. Asked the question, which is probably a good question to start off with as the second question, which is that they've never heard of Ask Frisk and Company. Could you describe it?
Okay, to somebody who's never... Okay. So the short version is that it's a post-True Pacifist run AU continuation of the story with
First of all, have you played Undertale? Have you played Undertale? Do you want to know what happens next?
And do you know what an ask blog is?
I think they understand that much.
Okay, so
that's what it is.
So it's like an ask blog. There's a literal fourth wall mail slot that askers can send in questions or requests or warnings or whatever to the characters. Their power is somewhat limited, but they're able to influence what the characters do. So the way I see it, like I have an idea of where the plot will go, but the askers do have the ability to influence what actually happens.
Mm.
So, for example, if a character is in danger, they can go tell a different character, "Hey, Frisk's alone in Mount Ebbet, and there's a ghost, and you should probably do something about it."
Spoilers.
Which happens early in the comic, which is why I used that example. And that wouldn't have happened if they hadn't called that in, and it probably would have gone very differently if it had just been Frisk all alone.
In summary, it's a post-pacifist run AU where you can send asks to the characters and interact with them.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff happens. There's
A lot of stuff happens.
there's romances involved.
There's romance, there's drama,
So if that's
horror sometimes, but not like
Dr. Micah said in the chat, so kind of like Homestuck.
a little. But Undertale and the Homestuck fandom are kind of related.
Yeah, because
They're
Toby Fox
cousins.
literally worked on
Yeah.
worked on Homestuck, and apparently lived in Andrew Hussey's basement for a while.
Hmm. I'm the Toby Fox of our relationship.
What does that mean? What am I then? The Tenny?
No, you're the Andrew, the doofus.
Oh.
Except I don't live in the basement.
Yeah,
I don't have a basement.
Exactly.
basements are expensive.
Mhm. I'm in the top bunk of our metaphorical bunk bed.
Anyway. Yeah, what else have we got?
Oh, we got plenty of more questions. Yeah, what was it like starting a popular ass blog during the early days of the fandom? Because I'm guessing it must have been pretty insane being like you post the first page, you go to sleep, and then you wake up the next morning, it's just like, wait, how did all those followers get there?
That's assuming that I slept.
Nah, she posts the thing so that she can look at the reactions.
Yeah, when I post things, I don't just leave it alone. I stay there for the next 30 minutes to an hour, waiting for the first replies to come in because I crave that.
That's what motivates you.
Yeah. I mean, I have something similar. The thing is, though, I had this bad habit of staying up late when I finish my stuff, so I get to do that first thing in the morning, be like, oh boy, what are all my responses?
I'm different. I don't mind waiting and whatnot. I'm the one who has to tell you, hey, maybe we should post this tomorrow after we've done a couple more panels. And you're like, but I want to post it today. I'm like, and then I gotta judge whether or not it's enough.
And it usually
Hold yourself.
Well, I mean, usually. Depends.
I mean, there have been a few times where, I've literally had updates that were a single panel. It's very rare, but it's happened at least once.
Meanwhile, people are just flipping through the pages, being like, "When was that?"
Oh, it's well documented. Go to the Wikipedia.
I know
Yeah,
you guys have a freaking wiki which tells me of your
Shout out to
age.
Walter Span and all of the wonderful people who maintain the wiki.
Which is mostly Walter Teagan. It's 99% Walter Teagan.
Well, I'm sure there are probably other people. I just don't know them.
Yeah,
Shout out
the
to
other one
Walter
are you
Teagan.
and me.
Hopefully you're watching this.
Fair enough.
And then that one guy that tried to vandalize it that one time.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Don't worry about it.
Someone tried to, deface the Wikipedia page.
You know, just
Oof.
I don't want to talk about it. It was kind of mean.
Yeah.
Internet
Speaking of like how popular Askblog and stuff is, I talking about it a little bit. I first came across your Askblog through the way a lot of people did was through the comic dubs. I first watched
Yes.
I first watched the Mia Mouse version. Then later on, I found the Studio Catbird version. Liked that version better and switched to that.
Mia's great though. She's actually still doing it, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Whereas
So I love her for that.
Yeah. The Studio Catbird version, which I hold very near and dear to my heart because I was involved in it.
Me too. We both were.
But I mean, I'm also sort of involved in the Mia Mouse one. I've made some music for it in a few cases.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, with the Studio Catbird dub, I saw that when that first was coming out, I saw the basically the casting call for it, and then I was like, hey, someone's doing a casting call for this dub. It looks really big.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, I'm gonna try out for it and not tell them who I am.
Yeah.
So I went by the name Treasure Dog, which
I came up with that because it was funny.
because my
that's a
my
good username,
my
Treasure
author
Dog.
avatar is a cat, and yeah.
We just did your parallel universe. Sona.
So
you mean like how my parallel universe is it is something like Pizza Girl?
Yeah. Oh man, Pizza Girl. Sounds good.
lasagna non-binary fella.
Fantastic.
Anyway,
What were we talking
But-
about?
we were talking about how Trash Queen auditioned for the Studio Capra dub.
And I also did.
yeah, we both did it about the same time, and then what ended up happening was at some point during that process, the person who was running that dub went and contacted me, as in the author, to basically be like, hey, do you want to at all be involved in this? And then I was like, yes, of course I do, and also I have a confession to make.
We auditioned, yeah.
And then I was like, yeah, I auditioned for all these characters, and they're like, oh, well, actually, we were going to recruit you for Undyne anyway, so...
All worked out. And I got cast as, like, half the children.
Because apparently I was the only one who had the balls to actually scream while I was doing my Undyne audition.
I mean, to be fair, I've heard your Undyne voice in that dub. It is pretty freaking great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't even the one that I was, like, the most excited about doing at the time, but now that, like, I've been being Undyne for a while, and that's just a voice I can use now, it's, like, I kind of, like, you kind of grow close to that character because you play them, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah. Which character were you most excited about?
I don't even remember.
That's true.
It's not important.
So long ago.
Yes. I mean, like, you say... Comic Cat, you say that you got cast as, like, half the children. You were cast as MK, and I'm pretty sure that voice of MK inspired a whole bunch of other people's voices for Monster Kid and stuff. Including...
Aw man, go make me blush.
Including our own Cupcake Pains, which...
Yeah.
Aw, nice.
She does a pretty great MK, if I do say so myself.
How
You
dare
wanna-
you? How dare you?
Wanna show us?
You don't have to.
Yo, Undyne is so awesome and cool. Oh my gosh, I love her so much.
That is pretty good. I'll let you know.
I'm so flattered!
Oh.
Undyne.
Meanwhile, I'm just like, aw, look, you guys can actually voice act. I can't. Well, take.
Their pizza. It's not
Pat's
for
Pat.
everyone.
I'm pasta guy. You know it.
Not in my heart.
But yeah, it did teach me how to do like a gruff voice without getting vocal fry in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like there is sort of an art to it. Like if you go too hard, then you won't be able to speak the next day.
I counted the amount of laughter Kara had to do, and I did all of it. And it took so long.
It took you did the exact right amount of laughing,
Yes.
the exact amount of pause.
Yes, I did.
You know, it's weird, like, talking to people and I'm just like, your voice freaked me out when I first heard it.
Which one? Both?
Well, Kara's voice, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just, and I'm probably gonna make you two feel old, but when I first watched a lot of your watched AskFriskandCompany / Reddit, I was in like the first year of high school.
Nice.
Okay.
No,
and now I'm in
Like,
the
I
second
was-
year of college.
Well,
Yeah, it's
I
been a
was in
while.
I was like pretty fresh out of like my attempt at college.
Yeah.
There was an attempt.
So
I'm looking forward to when we revisit the dubbing stuff.
I'd like to eventually.
Yeah. Probably once the comic is like we're wrapping it up, we're probably gonna try to go back and do another dub.
Mm. Well, yeah. Cupcake, you never told us how you found out about AskFriskandCompany.
Funny thing is, I actually found a Man Who Speaks in Hands first.
Ah, so you came in during the crossover.
I did, and then the crossover happened, and I'm like, hold on, what is this Ask blog that I have never seen before? Let me go back and read the whole thing.
That is
Yay.
often the purpose of crossovers, is to like share your fans, basically.
It's not just a crossover; it's a cross promotion.
Exactly.
I didn't know about the Man Who Speaks in Hands before it happened in the blog, but Drug Kara I actually knew about, but it was a surprise that it actually got a crossover, and I was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I
gosh,
did
love
hear a
both
lot
these.
of people, like, there were people that noticed that at the same time, like, we were timing it so that it would make sense. Like,
Mhm.
we timed our posts for the first thing, where in one comic, Kara falls into a manhole, and in the other comic, there's a mysterious crashing coming from the other room. And then
That's good
everyone's
stuff.
like, "That's not a coincidence! These things happen right after each other!"
Let's break out our conspiracy theory boards. Let's get those threads and those pens.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of excellent conspiracy theories. I enjoy all of them.
We kind of encourage it, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a lot of assumptions. Some are right, some are wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it is. People are just like with the story. You obviously want it to be popular, but when I make stories and stuff, which I do intend to actually make my own personal stories one day. I have a whole bunch of ideas from like a simple love story rom-com thing to like a epic sci-fi trilogy and all that. But what I also want about out of people reading my stories is like are they gonna be just like one day I'm gonna encounter someone and they're gonna be absolutely obsessed with my work, and I'm just gonna be like, oh my god. Ugh. They're like those people that like have like whole YouTube channels like based with like Star Wars or Star Trek or all sorts of stuff. Just the idea of my ideas like influencing someone so much is amazing to me.
That's true.
It's
As-
also like a big responsibility.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's also terrifying. Like, oh my god, I better not
There was-
teach
there
anyone
was-
anything
There
bad.
was definitely a point where I realized, because I think it was around when people started saying like, "Hey, I used to think this, but I saw stuff on your blog and I changed my mind." And I'm like, I changed someone's mind about something.
It's pretty cool. That's what art does. That's what it's for. Is like to
I
open
have
up
And then I
Power.
started like,
Eyes,
it's
perspectives.
easy to sort of get in your own head about like, oh god, I need to be like really careful what ideas I put in my thing, because if I put the wrong ones, then I could like send bad messages out into the world.
Yeah, that's why it is good to do things thoughtfully and with a purpose. But at the end of the day, when you're making something, as long as it's something that you yourself are proud of and that you like, that's what really matters at the end of the day.
Yeah.
No matter who else likes it or comments on it, as long as it's something you can be proud of and be like, yeah, I made that and it's great.
Yeah.
That's
All
the
your
most
dreams,
important.
everybody. But yeah. So continuing on, what was it like running an ask blog whose story could change if someone just asked a specific question? Like, I know you guys probably had at least some stuff planned out, but then like someone would ask something, it would be like, it would be like, that sounds really interesting. How do we work that in?
Now, I've taken sort of a philosophy to running the Ask blog as the same kind of philosophy that a dungeon master has when running their D&D campaign. Like, you have plans, and you need to make plans, but your plans are going to change.
You gotta be
because
flexible.
you can't predict what other people will do. And also, it's like kind of good when they influence the story, because things that wouldn't have happened or you wouldn't even have thought of can happen. And also, it makes people feel good to know that they've like actually influenced the story, and it's not like me pretending that they did.
What?
You know?
Could you give some like specific examples of that through the Ask blog that was just like that someone just suggested something you were just like, yes, that.
Well, I mean, the biggest example that I can think of, like one of the bigger things that took place, like there's a lot of small things, like someone will say like a very poignant thing and they'll be like, oh, they absolutely get what's going on. Like there was a point where Flowey started like getting really angry because somebody had hurt Toriel, and he started like just getting really, really angry. But like, why would he get angry if he can't feel anything? And then people started being like, wait a minute, he's feeling something. Why is he
Mystery.
feeling something?
And
then that led people
doesn't
to
make
start asking
sense.
questions, and then at some point someone's like, I want to see all the souls in this room.
Yeah.
And that led to them discovering some things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Goner Boy in the chat. Really cool to see the AFAC people on the show. That cog and other Ask blogs were a big inspiration for me and many others. Yeah, yeah. It was also a big inspiration for me for my Until fanfiction. In fact, in a bigger way than you could think. But we will get to that later because, I do not want to talk about that. But at the same time I do. It is one of those odd things where I am ambivalent about it.
There are occasionally, people will say like, "Hey, are you are you the source of like this like fanon thing that keeps happening in fan fiction? And oftentimes I'm like, I don't know, maybe.
Like the whole, I was rewatching some
like,
of
don't have to ask my permission to use like random ideas that I don't necessarily like. I've made it pretty clear, like, if somebody wanted to use the same lore reasons of, like, where boss monsters come from, or how skeleton reproduction works, or whatever, like, they're free to do that. I don't care.
Like, I'd suggest if you are inspired from a particular source, it's good to, like, mention it. Just be like, oh yeah, I got this idea from this place. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
And, like, even if you don't, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like,
But, like, if you feel like you need that, it's not a bad thing to do.
and also, at the same time, you don't have to do the same thing I do if you don't like it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In the chat, Gunner Boy also said, cough, Delta Experiment Survey Mechanic, cough. Oh, yeah. Gunner Boy runs a blog called Delta Experiment. Pretty good comic. You should really check it out if you want to. It's very, very wholesome. It's actually a lot like AskFriskandCompany in a lot of ways. There's a very wholesome feel to it. But yeah, and a lot of the time it's like, instead of having like askers like influence the story, a lot of times it's like he'll at the end of like some comic updates, he'll basically be like, okay, the story can either go this way or this way.
Choose your own adventure style. Yeah.
Yes, and so they would just like answer it in the survey below.
That's a way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a way to do it where it's not just the Tumblr thing, it can also be like if you like post it on DeviantArt or something else like that.
Yeah.
But,
and I've seen people run Ask blog style things on DeviantArt. They just use the comments as the Ask box, I guess.
Yeah. So many people are just like, it's like the whole Ask part of Tumblr is probably one of the most unique things about it as a social media platform, and I'm just like, people are like, oh, the Ask box is so unique and stuff, and I'm just like, it's just a fancier thing for a comment section, right?
I think it's a good way to get audience participation.
Yeah.
That's good.
I mean, it made a whole genre of comics, which is why we're even talking about this in the first place. So
And honestly, there's a lot better places to post a comic, but not this style, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah. Alright, the next question. Over the course of the series, you ran several crossovers with other Ask blogs. How was that like to work with and set up?
Imagine being temporarily married to someone for an unspecified amount of time. And you have to do everything together, like you're art married. This is your art spouse now. Like, if you make an update, you can't, like, take a step without consulting this other person.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean you updated your comic? Just updated your comic. I thought mine's not ready to be posted until another hour.
But, you eventually figure out a way that works for both of you. Like, if there's, it's usually a lot of back and forth, so usually the way they'll go is I'll say, like, okay, here are the asks that have come in. Here's my idea of what could happen. Some characters will have to dialogue with each other. How will that dialogue go? And then we do, like, a very short, almost like a short role play to see how these characters will bounce off each other. And then once the dialogue is agreed upon, one of us starts making it. Usually the person who makes the background will make it first, and then they'll have like it's like a green screen almost. Like, you'll have your characters acting with nothing there and leave a space for the other person to draw something. And if there needs to be, if they're like overlapping each other in any weird ways, then maybe
Layers.
throw in extra stuff.
Make sure things are on separate layers.
Yeah, of
Gotcha,
course.
boy, I see you in the chat. That pun is awful. Till death do you art.
Nice.
and then by the end of it, there is kind of a sense of relief once you've parted ways. Like, even though like you've like all the people that I've crossed over with,
It's hard
I'm
work.
on pretty good terms with, but also I probably would be hesitant to do it again too soon with just about whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it is
Just
a lot.
because of how difficult it can be.
Plus, you want the crossover to benefit both parties and the
That too.
narrative.
Yeah, it's
You want it
just,
to make
it's
sense.
it's just like a mess.
There is a lot of we want character development to take place for both of our characters usually.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is deciding what we're going to focus on. So with Drunk Kara, for example,
Mm-hmm.
it was both
Drunk
of our
Kara
Karas
confronting
basically.
each other.
It was about pushing characterization for both their Kara and my Kara, and having them like bounce off each other and learn from each other in a way.
I think I enjoyed working with the Drunk Kara a little more just because they were just easier to work with a little bit in terms of like talking about what our characters would say to each other and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it was about the same, but whatever.
No, just me personally.
Oh.
Cause like not you, just because in the previous one with Man Who Speaks in Hands, I kind of took a step back a little bit because they were more
but
particular.
like that was your choice, wasn't it?
Kind of.
Okay, well, whatever.
Yeah, the drug car crossover one is the one that always sticks out to me because I loved both of those ass blogs a lot, and it also I think with the Studio Catbird dub, it could also be with the Mia dub, where they got Starbot Dubs to come in and reprise the role of Drunk Kara. That was freaking great. I love that. I love how it made the crossover. It's not even just a crossover between two blogs and stuff. It's now a crossover between two channels, YouTube channels and all that.
Good
And
stuff.
It's very meta.
Yeah.
A lot of it's very meta.
Okay, but
Extremely meta.
yeah, but okay. So I have something to admit that I haven't admitted to anyone else. Well, I have it. Well, that's a lie. I admitted to some other people that I've known, but I haven't admitted on air before. Okay.
Okay.
So
Confession time.
we're talking about crossovers and stuff. Well, like I said, I'm a fan fiction writer, and back in the day, I wrote Undertale fan fiction, and I had I have my own AU. It's called Out of the Void. You can find it on AO3, but that version is technically the remade version of that. The original Out of the Void was posted on fanfiction.net, and it was pretty awful. Mainly because it read more like a summary of the story than the actual story. And
Shrug.
yeah. But anyways, that's not what's important. In that original fanfiction.net version, there was a bonus chapter where my mature Out of the Void Asriel, my 18-year-old Asriel, crossed over with what was what was his name? Chaos Dragon. No.
Oh, what, Maverick?
Yeah, crossed over with Maverick Asriel, and they had a fight straight out of
They
I
had
don't
an
know if you
anime
guys-
fight?
Yes, they had a and it was like straight out of like I don't know if you guys have ever seen or watched anything about this, but if you ever heard of Kingdom Hearts, it was
Oh,
like
no, I love Kingdom Hearts.
yeah, okay, so it's like in Kingdom Hearts 2, where basically my Asriel was in the place of Sora, and Maverick Asriel was in the place of Roxas, and it was
So he had two Keyblades.
no 2 Chaos Sabers.
And it was like jumping off a building in a place
It's
that doesn't
raining.
exist but does. Or whatever bullshit Kingdom Hearts comes up with. I love Kingdom Hearts, but like there's a lot of bullshit in it.
Oh yeah, it's a mess, but I like it that way, and
Yeah, like that's almost why you love it, you know?
yeah. But anyways, yeah, I had a whole chapter about that, and yeah, there's a part of and sadly, but also happily, I deleted that chapter a long time ago from both.
No, I wanted to see it.
No, you didn't. It was bad.
Yes, I did. I love this stuff.
Literally making a game about how she likes bad things.
Yeah.
Oh
Like-
my god.
Like,
Yeah,
listen,
I deleted it
cringe
from both,
culture is dead, and I want to see the
fanfiction.net
lost
and
fan
Google-
fiction.
You want to kill it.
fanfiction.net and Google Drive.
Cringe
If
culture's
somehow
dead,
like
you're
someone like uses like
it.
a Wayback Machine or whatever to somehow recover that thing, I will both love and hate you at the same time, because I will want to both chop my eyes out and be like, oh, this is gonna be great for a video. But yeah.
Now I want to do it.
No! Cupcake, get away from that computer.
Listen, I too
Dangerous.
have like very old cringy fan fiction out there, and the only reason why I'm not sharing it is because I literally don't know where it is, but I know it's out there somewhere.
I know where it is.
What, you do?
Yeah. It's in your closet.
Oh, well, I have a physical copy, but that
Yeah.
doesn't count.
Sure it does.
The Lost Lore of Pasta. Tevin Daniels, quiet you.
When I was in middle school, I used to write Sly Cooper fan fiction, and that's why I'm a furry. So,
Same.
In fact, it's the first thing I've written, and it's great. So I have a perfect track record.
Yeah, I'm also a furry, and I do appreciate, and I'm just going to say it is slightly to blame from Maverick because of that one scene with him in shirtless. You know what scene I'm talking about. And so
Oh, yeah.
17-year-old me was like, hey, that's kind of hot.
yeah.
and then somebody pointed it out to him, and then he got all bashful.
Hey, you're welcome.
Oh my god, but yeah. The thing is, it's like, I always do, the thing is, it's like, I never, like, stopped, thinking of crossovers for my, for my own personal AU and stuff, but I'm just like, man, if I was actually gonna do that, that would take a long time, and I'm only a writer.
yeah.
A lot of this stuff requires artwork, and I don't have the talent or the know-how / money to get the people to get that.
Become
that
friends with an
made.
artist.
Get-
That's the
Yes.
solution.
Gasp! He's friends with an artist already. Oh no! I better run.
start running down.
Cupcake, come back. Don't you want to hear about my crossover? No, Pasta Guy, no.
Be friends with an artist that's actually willing to do that.
Yeah. Remember. You need
I-
consent for art spouse stuff.
Cupcake, will you be my art Cupcake.
It has to
I
be
know
an
we've
enthusiast.
known each other for
Yes.
a long time. Will you be my art spouse?
Would you like to join me in holy archrimony?
Oh my god.
There's nothing holy about this. Anyway, what else have we got?
Oh, we got
Yeah,
plenty
ask us more questions.
All right. So let's go into a topic that totally will not involve any contentious things. Let's talk about shipping, and the shipping of characters
Would that be
yeah.
in
contentious?
your ask
Oh, well,
blog is a bit
It's not
more
going to be
upfront
contentious
than
between
most.
us, but it might be contentious to other people.
But why?
What did you?
Because people get weird about shipping for some reason.
Because it's emotions.
Yeah, it involves the
people will be
lovey-doveys.
Like, if you like this ship, it means that you're a bad person.
Yeah, it's,
And that
But
you
yeah,
don't believe in whatever.
The-
No,
the sh-
that's not what that means.
the shipping of characters in your ask blog is a bit more upfront than most. What did you do it this way, and have there been any troubles with this?
Complain when shipping happened. I was upfront because then if somebody's reading it and they're like, "Oh, I love this is great," and then suddenly Papiton shows up and they happen to hate Papiton, and then they're like, "Ah!" and then they feel like betrayed or whatever. Instead, they can read like the first few chapters and see the fact that like Papyrus explicitly is like blushing over like Metaton, and then they'll like know what they're in for.
Plus, that was just what people were asking about. Like, that's what people want to know about right away. They're like, who liked who? Who liked who?
Yeah, it's true. They were asking these things, but I didn't have to answer.
Yeah,
Like
you did.
sometimes people like ask things and I don't answer them. Like
Well,
if it's a
obviously, like for one, there's just not
like
enough
there's
hours in
no
the
stupid
day.
questions, but if there are,
What-
You can ask
Yeah.
any question. But
Goddard
I
boy,
don't
will you
question
be
it.
my partner?
Partner.
and I mean things like I haven't let in anyone saying like, Sans, why won't you tell people that you're secretly Ness? Like,
because he's not.
because he's not.
Not in this universe.
So I'm not gonna bother him with those.
Not any universe. That was a freaking meme.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there is a universe where he is Ness, but it's not this one.
It's a universe where all memes are real.
Yeah.
It's not a good place to live.
The meme verse.
Yeah. No, thank you.
I
I like
I
my
mean-
idea way more.
I mean, he's certainly like tapped into the meme-averse a few times, but
Don't talk
We'll
about
get
that.
to
That's an
that.
actual spoiler.
Yeah, I know it is. And
It's the coolest thing, but also you can't talk about it. Sorry.
toss
you're
that
not allowed
ask
to talk
into the
about that.
sun.
You know
Well,
what
dang,
you know what I'm
back up.
referring to.
You know what we mean.
Yeah.
Speaking of that,
Uh,
that was probably the point where I became like your art spouse.
Arts.
Because you helped me with the lyrics.
Yeah.
The-
I wrote at least half of them, if not more.
oh my god.
My favorite one was the part where it was dark, but then it got brighter. That was a good line.
I love key scene in a comic where Sans canonically is, and I kid you not, Steven Universe. Wow, X cross in the chat. Wow.
I don't
I
I
want
don't
know.
want I like
I
that
don't
it's
want
good
it.
that it exists and I like it and do it.
My
But,
only
like,
regret is
thank
that
you.
nothing I make will ever be as popular as that.
What, Steven Universe?
No, the thing that we're deciding not to talk about for some reason.
No, that's not true.
Yeah, and God, we're like, oh yeah, that one. But
So was that the answer to the question? What was the question? It was
well,
something
the question
Oh, yeah,
was,
Right,
shipping.
shipping. What about
Yeah,
shipping. Why do
shipping.
we do it? Because it's fun and characters like each other sometimes, and that's just how life is.
if you're asking like why I ship specific things, that's a different thing. Which ship do you mean?
I mean, we could get into that. I mean, we have gotten into this before, but I myself am an Azrael
I have
Crystal
reasons.
shipper.
Yes.
And I And I have literally gone on several rants on why that is, specifically one in episode 24 of this series, which you can all check out, and with Nate Duell. And
Still haven't made that bingo chart.
yeah. And yes, I went on a like 10-minute or so tirade on why I shipped those two together, and which honestly, a lot of the time, when people ask you, "Oh, why do you ship these two characters?" Like, they're cute together and stuff. But with me, it's like, no. You see, there's actually so much more to them than just this. You see, their relationship would be complex, and interesting.
I'm the same way. Yeah, I like to think about it like how, like, the characters' complex feelings and whatnot, and like why they like each other and how that happened and all that, because there are deep reasons for why one might develop a relationship, but it's all based on interpretation of the source material.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like people who ship Asgore and Metaton, it's 100% just based on that one line that Asgore says that's like, wow, isn't technology neat? And I'm like, that's cool.
And they're allowed to do that if they want.
Yeah, you can read into that if you want.
Like, that's what fan fiction is, reading too deeply into the source material.
Yeah,
pretty much,
reading
yeah.
between the lines and
Yeah.
finding what you want to find.
Yeah.
Like,
Um,
I have a
yeah.
lot of...
You can-
I remember when I first started the Ask blog, I had originally intended for Frisk and Azrael to be shipped together.
Yes.
And I still think that is a good ship, and I have no complaints against it, but during the course of the thing, I was basically, somebody else was like, okay, but I raise you Monster Kid and Frisk.
They shared an umbrella.
They had an umbrella. Monster Kid was so brave.
Frisk literally saved
They
Monster's
share an
life.
umbrella. That would be.
Assuming you do that.
They share an umbrella. That's almost as lewd as hand holding.
Yeah.
Well, of course I shipped them in a, like, two kids having a crush on each other kind of way.
Yeah.
Because they are.
Yeah,
'Cause they are-
they precious beans.
They're cute. I like
Like,
it.
Yeah.
like I had some people being like, how could you put, they're calling each other bae? That's lewd. And I'm like, it's really not. Like, nothing has really changed between them. Their idea of a date is like, we're gonna
play video
we're
games.
gonna play video games, and then maybe like vaguely flirt, and then not
We're
do
gonna
it
have-
again.
We're gonna have a dance party in my room tonight.
Got it, boy. But MK can hold hands. Flip, you're right. I'll have to go straight to hugging.
Mm,
Frisk stood on MK's shoulders, so that's a thing also.
that's fun. Fun and good.
Yeah. Love that little guy.
At the very least, I support, like, they need to be friends forever.
Mm. And I don't necessarily ship Kara and Azrael all the time, but I think our ones, it makes sense.
It depends on the way you see their relationship in that
Yeah.
particular AU.
Yeah.
Like, there are people who are like, if, like, they're basically siblings, it would be incest, and like, that's fine if that's the direction you're taking it. And I'm not saying that adopted siblings are like somehow less or whatever. I'm not trying to make some anime excuse. Like,
but not by
literally,
blood.
in
Well,
this-
that makes
in
it
the-
A-okay. No, it doesn't.
like in my AU, literally, like, we know for certain that
Like,
the
they didn't
story
see
that
each
the
other as
monsters like tell
Yeah,
you
that's the
during,
distinction.
like, when you first arrive at Asgore's house and they start telling you the story of Azrael. We know that story is not completely accurate because they literally don't know about a lot of the other stuff that went on behind the scenes, like
Mhm.
the fact that Kara poisoned himself and a bunch of other stuff. So they're an unreliable narrator. So when they say that they were like siblings, we can take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Connor Boy sort of online flashbacks. Quiet, you. We don't have to think about that.
So as a result, I basically decided, like, while Kara was living in their household the way a sibling might, I don't think Kara saw Azriel as a sibling. And in fact, they got upset whenever Azriel or somebody else, like, insinuated it, because they don't feel like that towards Azriel, which sort of led to this whole, like, Kara's got, like, a secret crush on Azriel. Azriel's completely, like, oblivious to it. And at some point, Kara's like, okay, I'll tell him. And then Azriel's like, got you a present. It's a locket that says best friends on it. Kara's like, single tear. That's so nice, Azriel.
Thank you.
That reminds me. I think I've told this story before, but if you guys have ever read the book or seen the movie Perpopolis, flip.
Okay.
I don't speak Sumerian, but anyways, there's this scene where the main character, who's Iranian woman, who's studying French in Austria and stuff. She spends a nice night with this lovely guy. He's very cute and all that, very sweet. But in the morning he's enjoying, like, oh Mary, I just realized something. I'm a homosexual. I know if it can't work with you, it can't work with any woman. And of course you're happy for him, but on the inside you're just like, with Mary, you're just like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that, like, in this particular case, Azriel's just sort of slow to the uptake and hasn't realized his own.
Plus, they're kids. They're like 10.
Yeah,
seriously.
And he is
just because
slow.
Azriel's like slow about it.
He just thinks Kara's cool. So cool.
And then Kara, meanwhile, is like had to grow up so fast. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
Kara's more serious.
Yeah.
And
Serious.
tsundere.
Yeah, seriously, right? Honestly, like, back in the day, I was a lot more, like, volatile about it, because, one, I was a teenager, and you're technically more volatile about things back then.
It happens.
Yeah.
Such as being a teen.
Yes, but yeah, I remember getting to that part in the Ask blog where it's just like where Maverick explains what happened with them in his car and stuff, and I'm just
Cries.
like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that much at all. But now I'm just like, it's someone else's interpretation, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did have a lot of like polarizing opinions on there. I did have to, like, explicitly in the comic have him say, like, I've never thought of them as a sibling. What are you talking about? Just to make things very, very explicitly clear.
So yeah, no
They
one
were
ever
roommates.
questioned it in my AU with Frisk and Azrael, but what I always thought is like is actually both kind of. It was actually kind of sad and kind of tragic, where basically Azrael was just like, I don't want to call anyone else a sibling again. Wait, what? Why is that, Azrael? I don't know, Frisk. Maybe because the last time I called someone a sibling, I got them freaking killed right in front of me.
Oh dear.
That's fair. That is fair.
Yeah.
And part of it is just like you can only tell the story that you have. Like we can't have all the ships because that wouldn't make any dang sense. So it's just like once you've locked into something, now you've got to move forward with it.
Yeah, I mean, like, stuff like Soriel was a lot more popular back in the day than it is now, and
I did get a few people that are really into Torgor or whatever you call
I'm
it.
sorry, she doesn't like him like that.
Which it's fine if you want them to like be together. I don't understand it, but I don't have to, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But also,
Sure, it's doable, but it requires like one of those really long slow burns, and you gotta like tutorials gotta go through all this work.
It could be so interesting.
it could be very interesting if you took the time.
That's what I did in my AU. It's video.
But you know, like they're different people now.
Yeah.
Is the way I see it,
And I think at best, maybe they'll be friends someday. That's the goal.
At one
right?
day they'll be okay
Toriel
with each
needs
other's
to like
existence.
be okay with being friends with him someday, maybe. She doesn't need to, but she could. She could try.
it would go a long way to healing both of them.
Yeah.
Kid crushes are more like it got a boy in the
She's
chat.
not
Kid crushes
obligated
are
to
more
do
like
that,
I like talking to / playing with this person though. At least that's my experience. Yeah, I had kid crushes. Honestly, like the first time I kissed anyone was with one of my kid crushes. Honestly.
I have a
Yeah.
confession.
Hooray.
I've never had a crush and I've never kissed anybody.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you.
That's okay. It's
Cupcake.
really complicated.
Cupcake asexual. Cupcake love everybody, but not in that way.
Oh, well, that's good.
Well, honestly, your life's probably
Or just,
gonna be a lot
or just
simpler
really
for it.
demisexual and they haven't found the right person yet, which is like right out of a love story.
Either way, that is fine.
Yeah.
Yes, is
No
fine.
need to have like a. You don't have to think about like those things as being like, oh, I'm definitely this way, because like your identity.
And like,
But for now, that's what it is.
Yes.
and I'm not Ace, and I'm also not with anyone, and I'm okay with that. I'm not in a hurry, and I don't feel like I should have to feel bad about that, you know?
You can be
Yeah.
in a relationship.
Meanwhile, me,
with
I'm
you.
just like, I'm pansexual. And I haven't had a boyfriend, girlfriend, or anything in between.
And that's
I'm
okay.
fine. The thing is, I want one though. They're nice.
Yeah,
I
but
snuggle
like,
with
don't
them.
want one so badly that you end up in a relationship that's bad for you. Because
Well,
like,
obviously, no. I'm not gonna be
relationship
like.
is
I'm not gonna. I don't want to force anyone into anything. And
No, I mean like someone that's bad for you.
yeah, but I. Oh gosh, that just reminds me of that scene. If you guys ever seen the movie Rocket Man, which is like the biopic on Elton John, there's this really
Yeah.
hard. There's so little thing. We all know Elton John is gay. He a bit gay, but
Yeah.
back in the day, he couldn't exactly say that. And so he had to pretend marriage to this one lady and stuff, which he did like actually really love and care about, just not in that way. And it took him years, but one day he was just like, "I'm sorry," and that scene in that movie just freaking destroyed me. But yeah, and anyways, yeah. So
Relationships are complicated, and feelings are also complicated, and characters have them, and it can make stories interesting.
yeah. Alright, so, anyways, next question. Your story is known for a large amount of OCs, both monster and human. How's it balancing these new characters with the established characters and lore?
Usually, when a character is brought in, it's for a specific purpose. Like,
The biggest one would probably be Adrian.
So
mention.
Adrian's probably the biggest one, and she was brought in because we were talking about like what was Frisk's home life like before.
Why did they go to that?
Why
dang
did they
mountain?
go to the mountain? And then I came to a point where I was like, well, if they had no good influences in their life, why did they end up like such a nice kid? like they had to have had someone in their life that was nice to them, and then that's how Adrian happened.
Mm.
Was that I basically made an older sister that acted more as a paternal figure than their actual parents did.
Yeah.
And then that's also like the source of like, why does Frisk know that they're a they? Why does Frisk have the name Frisk at all? Like, if they were like, because their parents weren't accepting of that, so like if they like, how did, I don't know.
Yeah, it was you know,
It was someone they
filling a
could
gap
secretly
in-
confide in, basically.
Yeah, and she was brought into the story because we wanted to explore Frisk's past a little bit more.
And then I eventually sort of went with the reason why she hadn't been brought up was basically there's nobody that Frisk is more afraid of than their parents. So they were hesitant to even talk to their sister because they were afraid that that would like open up a connection to the parents somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Dun dun dun.
And that's something I haven't fully explored in the comic yet, but there are plans.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Also, we have
honestly like
Adrian.
Adrian, like not gonna lie, 16/17-year-old me had a big crush on her. She was.
Good. I drew her to be like really cute.
That makes me feel really good because I always am like worried about focusing too much on like side characters or characters that aren't from the game. So that's a good to hear.
Yeah, I
Also,
liked her too. I liked
believe
how
that,
protective she was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that that your Adrian and my Frisk would get along pretty well because because my Frisk and Azrael did the thing that a lot of AUs do where they get like self-defense training classes from Undyne and
That's fun.
Something I want to say real quick is I really like Jason a lot, and Deanna's cousin Bethany came up with a lot of his stuff because she likes K-pop a lot and just fashion and all that stuff. So
And
a lot of that influence.
a lot of his interests are based on things that Bethany likes.
Scarves, all
So
that stuff.
and he was sort of
He's just kind of a funny guy.
Yeah.
he was brought in because I was like, okay, I need to illustrate like how a normal ass person would be reacting to these monsters all the time.
Yeah, he's like a talking skeleton. What?
Like,
Pretty
because
funny.
if you think about it, like, how does a normal person feel when all of a sudden their idea of normality is like flipped on its head?
Mm.
Like, how do they deal with that? Apparently, they just sort of go like, "Ugh, whatever. Yeah.
He's tied into the canon a little bit because his mom wrote
Mew
Mew
Kiss a Cutie, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, like, I was
Someone
reading some of the
underrated.
side comics earlier today, like Storytime, the Storytime
Yeah.
comics, and
Which
it's
are
just
all
like,
canon in this setting, by the way. They may look silly, but they're canon.
yeah, and it's just like when first contact, and it shows two Mounties being like, hey, that wasn't there before. What's all that? Hello. Hello.
Greetings!
Our best original character, Tulip.
The horse.
Mm-hmm. Fan
Nay.
favorite Tulip. Where's Tulip's fan fiction?
Well, she got to carry Papyrus on during, like, the wrestling arc.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She has lore. I'm joking,
Yeah.
of course.
The one I'm proudest of is where Monster Kid got his name.
Oh yeah.
Because Asgore can't name for beans.
That's the only explanation!
He's a monster kid. I did it. Excellent.
Yes,
That's
please
pretty
go away now. I'm not giving out any more names.
I'm also proud that I didn't even like show him actually naming the kid. It's just sort
We
of
all know.
implied, and
We all know
Yeah,
what
we all
happened.
know.
everyone knows where
This
this
is
is
the
going.
guy who named the water area Waterfall, the hot area Hot Lad.
I low key feel like this
New
was
home.
basically Toby Fox roasting himself.
Home to
I mean, I'm pretty bad with names. but-
Monster Town.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
pretty
why
bad with
Monster
names.
Town
Like,
has the
like
name
I'm currently like
Yes.
in the midst of like trying to figure out like I'm brewing up my own little personal fantasy
I think
story
keep
and all
letting him
that,
be.
and I'm just like, you know, if J.R.R. Tolkien can steal a bunch of a bunch of Scandinavian stuff, I'm gonna go over to Eastern Europe and see what they got, because they got some interesting stories, don't they?
Oh yeah. Everywhere's
That's
got
how we have
stories. of
characters.
lore.
It's named like Alden and Eddard.
Humans are good at stories. We've got so
Yeah.
many.
Yeah. Anyways, continuing on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your AU is actually. Now that I'm reading this question, I think I could have phrased this better. Your AU is more lighthearted than most. How do you add serious elements while also having?
Ooh, I want to answer this.
Okay,
Also
yeah,
having-
go ahead.
You can.
Yeah, while
Yeah.
also having darker themes in the story.
Serious moments can happen organically because the characters have feelings and problems and whatever. So those moments, they happen just as part of the plot, because if the characters are reacting how they really feel and like naturally as you would a person, then serious things will just happen because that's how people are.
Conversely, if you make a character deep enough, they will have both serious moments and lighthearted moments because they're people and they have both within them.
Exactly.
I mean,
So no matter what your story can be as goofy as hell. If you keep that human element or that person element for monsters, I guess, then
Yeah.
you'll have a bit of both. You'll have light and dark.
And for
I
that
mean,
matter, when you're writing a very, very dark story, you still have to have some levity because
or otherwise,
if you
the dark stuff doesn't hit as hard.
Yep.
If you never let the character breathe, then it's like you're never gonna like grow closer to them and then
It's
feel
kind of like
bad.
how it's kind of like how my mom once told me, like, my mom's a pretty damn good cook, if I do say so myself, and
Yeah.
and my mom was like, you know what the secret to making really good sweet stuff is? What? And she said salt. And as a kid, I didn't understand it because like salt is salty. That doesn't go with sweet stuff. But if you put salt in with the sweet stuff, it makes the sweet stuff seem even sweeter. That's the thing.
It creates
Exactly.
contrast. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
And if you're writing it, I find actually like really lighthearted stuff can sneak up on you in ways that you don't expect.
oh, you know
And that's
it.
sort of what I like about things like Undertale or other things that have sort of a cutesy exterior. And then when you get right into it, all of a sudden, like,
It's deeper.
it's really deep and now you're crying.
Yeah.
Steven Universe, conflict in episode 1. Kids running out of ice cream sandwiches. Conflict in the last episode. So, teenager goes through mental crisis that causes him to turn into a giant monster.
Oh dang.
Yeah. It's just like, I was thinking about, like, there's like a bit of contrast. It's like, I mean, Sans literally defeats Car in like the first arc, or at least get Car out of their body by using the power of memes. But also in the same story, there's like this horrific like zombie like apocalypse and stuff.
And with Sans, he's a very good microcosm of the interplay between comedy and tragedy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he, in the same breath as making a joke, can be like very, very threatening, or in the same breath of being threatening, he can transition back into a joke to undo the tension, but not really because he just threatened you.
Knock knock.
Yeah.
Like, that's why he's so compelling as a character.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, by the way,
That's
this is a very small side thing, but it's something that to this day has always bothered me. When Maverick first shows up and the Askers are just like trying to tell like Alphys or Undyne and stuff, and they say like, there's this, there's this like someone's pulling like a Kyle Reese, and they're just like, I don't know what that means. I'm just like, guys, they're into anime, and old 90s anime at that. Trunks from Dragon Ball Z. He's right there.
That's true. Why didn't they say Trunks?
I know, and it's been bothering me this whole time. Real talk.
Like I was like, would they even know what Terminator is? Have they seen Terminator? And then we basically went with they're trying really hard to remember all of the Kyles that they know.
If you want to live.
Who the hell's Kyle? Yeah, it's all good points. They would have definitely gotten the Trunks reference.
Oh yeah, they would have got that instantly.
Undyne knows Dragon Ball Z at least.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know
is
how
the Dragon Ball Z, so.
But that's just a minor failing of an Asker. It's okay.
But see, that's great because it's comedy. It's that human element.
Yeah, I know,
Nothing's more
but it
human
just
than
bothered
literal
me. It just bothered me because it's just the like little nerdy thing inside me, just like guys, you could have just gone with this. No, go back.
Hindsight is 2020, but
yeah, I know.
Hey, if you want to shout at the screen, you can send an ask.
Just in all caps.
All caps, and I point out like so many
like,
things
why
that you
didn't
guys
they
could have
Trump
done
or
better,
whatever?
and there's the characters just react just like okay, you try to react better in this crazy situation.
To be fair, the Terminator reference was also accurate.
Yes, it was. I didn't say it wasn't accurate. It just annoyed me when I first watched it. Just like, guys, come on.
You're
Also,
correct.
Also, I personally learned about Future Trunks before I learned about Kyle Reese, so.
But it's good that they failed, because otherwise Maverick could have gotten punched in the face by Undyne way sooner.
Fair enough.
Well, he was unconscious by the time that had happened, so.
Shrug.
Like, when they brought up Kyle Reese, he was already unconscious. So.
Oh, never mind.
It was just, like, basically as soon as somebody...
Did Asgore knock him out? Was that who did that?
No.
Who did it?
No,
How did
they were in Trash Mart.
Yeah.
Then Undyne's mom was like, there's a creepy guy that's been following you.
Yeah.
And then Undyne's like, yeah, actually, I did notice he was, like, following us from the rooftops, and this is super weird.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, and then she's like, hold my Santa coat, and then she, like, suplexes him in the background while Alphys talks to her mom about possibly, like, proposing to her. I remember these things.
Yeah. I
thought you do. You made him.
I thought we were talking about when he first showed up.
No, this is this other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't the one who got knocked out. It was Asgore who got knocked out.
Oh, when he first ran into Asgore, yeah. And Asgore's just like, who are you, young man? Ow!
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
That's the other thing. It's like, if somehow that crossover between your AEU and my AEU ever happened, is I just imagine this scene where it's just like Azrael and Frisk talking to the AskFriskandCompany version of themselves, and then Azrael's like, yeah, hang on a second, hey, edgy version of me, I see you up there. You trying to be all sneaky and stuff. That's stuff. I was trained by Undyne. I know what it's like to sneak around like that.
He has the exact same amount of edge as the 10-year-old version of himself.
Oh, you know what? And that's why I love him.
He's just an adult, so he can do it harder.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
He can buy the cosplays with his money.
Yes.
Yes.
He can wear the cool goggles and all that.
He's taller, so he can pull off the trench coat.
Yeah. Oh, I actually want a trench coat. Azrael's my favorite character, if you couldn't tell, and mainly because there are a lot of times where I'm a huge dork like him.
Yeah.
Who cries?
Okay, so next question. A lot of As blogs are made through improv. How much of the story did you initially have planned out?
Kind of answered that question. Initially, you didn't have anything planned.
Yeah, initially there was no plan, and then slowly over time I started making a plan. So a little bit
now
after
we know when it's gonna
the
end.
first Ask blog, after it first started, I was like, well, I want Kara to come in at some point. And then I started having, but before that, I was like, well, at some point Kara's going to come in. But before that, I'm going to have Gasser come in. So I started like putting Gasser like very, very like barely visible in the background, and then people noticed it a lot faster than I thought they would. And I was basically doing where he was going up 1% opacity every so often, and once he got yanked out, I'm like, okay, well, there's one person that I have in the story now. Now I have to start thinking about, okay, who else is in the skeleton family? So I figured out Herman next, because I basically I listed a bunch of traits that Sans and Papyrus had, and I crossed off all the traits that they clearly got from Gaster, and then I was left with things like short, square jaw, has a sense of humor, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's their other parent.
Latin.
Yeah, spicy Latina.
I'm not sure where that came from, but...
Because Papyrus.
Oh, yeah. A little bit. But, and then at some point I saw someone post something about the river person saying, like, the way the river person says, beware the man who speaks in hands, it sounds like something an X would say. And then I was like, I have an idea, she's still alive!
Yes!
Yeah.
Why have a character be dead when they can be alive, right?
Yeah, exactly. You can't make as many stories about dead characters.
I mean, you can.
They're not as much fun when they're dead.
Which I have done dead characters too. I also made Alphys's parents, who are dead.
They're actually dead. Goodbye forever.
Rip an anime.
Yeah, big sad.
And then at that point I started thinking, like, okay, why is Kara like this? So I had to like figure out all of Kara's backstory and all of their psychology and why they're acting like such a jerk all the time.
I did it. It was me.
And that's the point when you were involved. And once we had that sort of solidified, it was a lot easier to start thinking, okay, the story from here is going to basically encompass like Kara's redemption arc mostly. And we're still doing that, even though Kara's like technically not a bad guy anymore. They still have to deal with the fact that they did bad things, and there's like consequences to that.
Oh yeah, it's
and
like the
trust.
Yeah.
The idea of like one character, like bringing back one character, brings back another character, brings back another character. That's also an idea I actually sort of unintentionally took from you guys, because like at first it's like at first I get Azrael back through blah 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 and blah 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 and blah 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 and yes, that is me censoring it because I don't want to spoil Kara in my fan fiction. No, if I just want to be obvious about it.
Read our fan fiction first, though.
Azrael coming back leads to Gaster coming back, and that leads to a whole bunch of other stuff, because it just consequences to people to coming back to life and all that stuff, because it's just like they can't just have them come back and there be no consequences. There's gotta be
a lot of our process. Oh, sorry.
There's gotta be something that goes wrong with such a happy moment.
Yeah, a lot of our process is where TQ will come up with like a zany idea or something, and then I'll be like, okay,
And then I'll be like, here's this dumb idea I thought of. I wanna bring back an alternate universe future Azrael, sort of like Future Trunks. Okay, but hear me out.
and then I have to be like, okay, let me think about that and why and how and what does it mean, and what will this do? Because like everything has weight, even if it's a silly, stupid idea. Like it's still when you make it in, when you put it in the story, it becomes real, and you have to like deal with it and be like, okay, well, how are the characters gonna react to that? Like, what is that gonna mean to them?
What does this say about like the laws of this universe?
Exactly, and I gotta be like, okay, well, how does he get here? Okay, it comes from the thing. X,
We
Y,
did
and
a
Z.
lot of it up front, though. We fully knew what was going on with Azrael's soul
Mhm.
from very early.
Oh yeah.
Like as early as soon as Flowey
I
started
loved that.
showing signs that he was regaining a soul.
Yeah, I loved that whole thing. I was like, okay, this is why he can feel emotions, yo.
And
Because you
there was
kinda
like
just were
like we timed it down to the
was
second
good.
he started having a speck of a soul.
It was good. It was good.
And as soon as that happened, we were like, okay, he's gonna start having little boss monster fangs. And it'll be a very subtle change, and people will think that it's just my art evolution, but it's not.
So much thought. It was such.
Yeah.
It was. I did a lot of work on that whole transition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just like a lot of time. Yeah, a lot of the time being a writer is just like you'll come with this amazing idea and you'll just be like, "That's great. How does that work?"
Yeah,
I'm the one who figures out how things work.
I'm the 2-year-old who comes in with the finger paints and makes a mess, and then Comic Cat comes in and is like, okay, let's like clean this up and frame it.
What is it? A tree?
Is that an edgy boy from the future? Yeah, we'll figure something out.
Yeah. Because a lot of what I do is kind of behind the scenes because I don't do pretty much any of the art. I've done like a few backgrounds and I drew a car once, but I don't do a ton of the art. And also, you do
high
like
five. I can't draw much either. High five through the
I
internet.
can draw. I just have it for this comic. Okay, I do commissions.
I can't draw at all. That's why.
You have drawn technically. You've done some backgrounds.
That's what I said. Yeah, I drew a few backgrounds in a car. I just haven't done most of it.
Props on
'Cause you-
drawing a car though, because
Yeah.
those
It
are
was
hard.
Pyrus's car.
Yeah.
Car.
And it was because you were like, I don't want to draw a car, and I'm like, you have to.
I have
it has
the
to be.
exact make and model,
Listen,
but
it
I
has
hate
to be-
drawing cars.
This car has to be on model. You have to be able to know what it is, and it's his car. This is the car he has.
It's a specific Mustang convertible.
And I was like,
I don't remember the year, but it's a specific year.
I wrote down the year somewhere. Anyway.
It's like,
know-
move aside, I shall do it.
Because you didn't want to draw a
I
car.
totally
Yeah.
expect with the personality type you have, it's just like it's just gonna be hours later, and it's hours later, and you two are just hanging out, and then Trash Queen's gonna be like, it was like 2005. Yes, that's what it was.
No,
It's
I'm
older
not
than
gonna
that.
remember.
It's 1990 something.
Yeah, it's 1990 something.
Yeah, Deanna's not the one who remembers stuff.
That's why she has.
I mean, you do. That's true. We do remember things.
I remember unexpected things
Yeah.
occasionally. It's not useful things, it's just the occasional thing, and it's in high detail, but it's just that thing. And
That's why it's good we have a
useless.
Wikipedia, just in case you need to use it.
It's true.
Hey, does this fit into the ass blog lore? Let me check.
Because
We,
it's
Now
important to be
just imagine you,
internally
like going into a big library and just pulling out a whole bunch of books.
Because you can do anything. Because you can do anything. You can make characters come back to life or whatever zany nonsense, as long as it's internally consistent.
as long as you can explain why and it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Emotional
Uh,
sense.
You
Yes.
okay? So next question. Your Ask blog, unlike many others, has kept in a good amount of popularity. How do you feel about still having a rather sizable following years after starting?
Pretty thankful.
Yeah, it's cool.
Especially because, like, someday I'd like to also do original stuff, and the hope is that a lot of these people stuck around because they like me and my stuff.
Not just for the.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
a lot of people have said that, like, they don't necessarily keep up with the Undertale fandom, but they're still watching this blog.
That's really
And that's,
really
like,
sweet.
really reassuring to me.
Yeah. And we're going to update soon. We've been like on hiatus for a little bit, and it's sort of hard to get back into the workflow. Oh, we're just gonna start staring at the comic for an hour every day until something happens.
Like,
We don't.
It will happen.
Yeah. Another thing with you have to understand. Most writers, it's just like if you want them to be consistent, that's like one of the hardest things because a lot of the time when it comes to us creative types, we could. If you give us like a book, if you give us like a blank notebook and say make in a pencil and be like do something with it, it can either be like it could be an hour with us barely making anything, or you can come back and we have like 2 chapters done of something. It's just that type of thing where it's like some days you write like 1,000 words, other days you barely write a paragraph.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like I heard it said like author of Hamilton, Lin-Manuel Miranda. Apparently, one of the songs he did in Hamilton took like 2 years to write, and then another one he did in a single night.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
when you watch Hamilton, you won't know which is which.
Because I will pay.
That's how it works.
I also want to like speak to like burnout and like with this particular blog, we can't exactly make like a backlog because we use like asks and current input and stuff. So we can't just like bank things and then post them when we need a break. So sometimes we just have to be like, okay, we're not going to post for like 2 weeks. It's a holiday.
Or it's a quarantine, sorry.
Yeah, that was more like just our mental situation sort of did a tank, and then we just haven't picked it up yet.
It's been difficult picking the ball back up, but we're
just
doing it.
Yeah.
We never intended to stop.
No, we're gonna finish this thing. There will be an ending, and it will be good.
Nice.
Well,
like
we'll get back to you on that.
I don't foresee an ending happening like
Not soon, but it's in the future.
like it'll be a while.
We have
a lot planned.
Yeah, we basically have like a couple of beats we need to hit before we can start being like, okay, this is the final stretch.
Yeah.
Like some sort of resolution has to happen regarding Frisk's parents, basically, is the main thing.
Like one of the major conflicts that's just like, no, we need to figure this out.
Like it's been looming over Frisk for the whole comic, and
there's a wedding.
Something's gotta happen. Also, Undyne and Alphys have to get married, and hopefully, well. And also, like, Kara needs to, like, have some sort of confrontation with Sans, I think.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's just like, of course, it's like with a lot of stories and stuff. It's like, oh, the wedding gets like crashed, and there's like a whole bunch of bad stuff that happens at it, and they can't like get married or whatever. But I'm just thinking like back to my story, and I'm just like they don't even get through the rehearsal dinner. It just goes all crazy from there. But they eventually
I
do get
don't
married.
necessarily like. I haven't decided whether or not to crash their wedding, so it might not crash.
There might not be a crash, yeah.
No, you make it their wedding reception. Yeah, like the cake
Someone
literally.
crashed their honeymoon.
Yeah,
I
this
do
is like
feel like
the
currently
bad stuff
in
will
the
be happening. Like
climate
the cake,
that
at the cake table. The cake table's the first thing that gets destroyed. And Undyne was just about to get the cake, and you were just like, "You bastards! I was waiting so long for that."
There's also that, like, currently there's, like, a bit of a tense situation between humans and monsters where they are. So I feel like there would be a lot of security at that wedding.
Yeah, and
Yeah. A lot of
that-
papyrus and sunglasses.
Hey, I believe we are called in the U.S. the Secret Service, and I think it.
Just,
The
I
opportunity.
do think there should be a part at some point where somebody who looks suspicious appears. They're not actually suspicious, and Papyrus and 10 dogs all dogpile them like Secret Service
Get down,
agents.
Oh,
get
yeah.
down, Ambassador Frisk. I was just gonna ask her for an
Pirates
interview
were not
question.
gonna have
Oh, my
time.
apologies.
Dog squad.
Huh?
Dog squad.
Dog squad.
Dog
Great.
squad.
Or fe-
Good. It's good and true.
Oh, Dr. Mecca actually asked something in the chat that's pretty interesting. And then there's
Give me-
Deltron. Speaking of which, if the comic is still around when the full game is released, will you have some sort of crossover between the two? Yeah, it's like with AskFriskandCompany, it's just like how your stories like come out and all that. It's just like, and then there's just Deltron over there, and you're just like, I don't know how we
Deltarune
handle
is
that.
a different
Like,
universe from Undertale, but that doesn't mean that the Deltarune characters that are exclusive to Deltarune don't necessarily also exist in Undertale,
Susie.
such as Susie, for example.
And
there's
We've
like a
already
little
put
bit of-
Susie in some of the backgrounds of the wrestling parts because we're like, she'd probably be, because they say in Undertale that she's roughly Frisk's age, so that means
Yeah.
that Susie is younger in Undertale than in Deltarune. So I put
Yeah,
a
when you're,
young
like,
Susie.
high school
that-
students.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we might like do some small references or Easter eggs or what have you, but we're probably not gonna like
Yeah, that would also
Cross
mean
over the
that,
plots
for
or anything.
example, like any other teenage students that are in Deltarune would also be like Frisk age. And
So true.
if Chris is out there somewhere, Chris probably looks a lot like Frisk and also is roughly the same age.
yeah.
Yeah. It's just like in the.
Chris is a weird.
Hey, you look a lot like me. What's your name again, Chris? Wow, why does that sound oddly familiar? And then reality just glitches for a second.
Nah.
No, they're just a different person. They're different from the Deltarune Chris, and they're different from the Chris's in other AU because this is a very specific AU.
Yeah.
It's in
Deltarune
its
is
own
more of
little
an
bubble.
official AU of Undertale. Yeah, kinda. Dr. Becca.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah. You can
I
write.
have my own
Should
thoughts
we-
and stuff about all that, which I will eventually go out in the current fanfic I'm writing, which is called The Lie at the End, which is my interpretation of Deltarune and all that. Speaking of which, if you guys want to check out my
I'm
Reddit-
hesitant to put too much about Deltarune before all of the parts come out because there might be revelations that we didn't know about, and I don't want to like
absolutely.
speculate on something and have it be wrong, you know?
Chris was Kara the whole time.
Like, what if Chris was Kara the whole time?
Nah.
Quiet you.
I like Chris. Name. I like the name Chris.
Yeah. it's
So-
pretty good.
Chris.
Oscar,
But
there's a bot in the Twitch chat. Get rid of him.
Bad
What?
bot. Oh no.
I don't
Get rid of the bot.
get rid of the butt.
Kill it.
It's the bot, not a butt. It's not. It's not a thing that carries humans around in the water.
I thought of the Finding Nemo thing too. Finally, a reference I get.
Hell yeah. Okay. Seriously, I gotta open up
So-
a Twitch. Deal with this.
So while he's working on that, there's a question in the YouTube chat. So, which characters were you excited to write about?
Oh, I like.
All of them.
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of the writing for specifically the dialogue and the character development and stuff. So yeah, a lot.
Early
all of it?
on, the most interesting characters to me were Sans and Gaster, because I could make up anything the hell I wanted about Gaster.
I mean,
And
Sans
also,
is always good,
Up until
but Kara a
then,
lot.
there was like, when I was first starting, there was sort of this consensus among the fandom that Gaster was either scary or way scarier, and there wasn't as much about him being like an okay dude. So I was
Not
like,
great or anything,
The
but
Twitch
he's alright.
guy.
and then on the other hand, there were a few people that there wasn't much in the middle. There was always either Gaster did everything wrong or Gaster did nothing wrong.
He did some wrong things and some okay things.
So I wanted to
Yeah.
come up with something in the middle.
Yeah.
Your
He
version of
definitely
Gaster
did some bad
also, it also influenced my version of Gaster. He's like, he did some good things, he did a lot of bad things, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of characters who have done like horrific stuff, but who feel remorseful about it, and that's pretty interesting.
Like Asgore
Yeah. Well,
Or Alphys.
kinda.
or Alphys. Although less out, like, I don't know, I feel like
Asgore is it's harder for him to like truly feel a deep sense of guilt. He feels remorse and he feels like he misses how things used to be and stuff. It's just because he's just kind of like a easygoing guy though.
well, no, I think he does regret things.
Yeah, I just mean like he's not going to like break down and cry like Gaster is what I mean.
Oh, well,
He's just
yeah.
gonna be like, oh no, I'm so sorry. They're there, that kind of
He's-
thing.
Yeah, when we find him in Undertale, he's going through a lot.
Yeah, he's just a little bit more spacey, is what I mean.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
a lot of the time in Undertale, he spent most of his time acting like everything was okay,
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
everything was not okay.
I feel like he's not one who likes to show his emotions a lot.
I think he disassociates a little bit from like negative emotions. I think that's why he sort of acts
It's
that way.
because it's scary. If he touches them, he'll like fall apart.
And he doesn't want to think of himself as being a bad guy.
Of course, nobody does.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
He finally
Uh,
confronts it
yeah.
when he fights Frisk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Alright, next question. Ask blogs are made off of askers' suggestions, but they aren't always good. What are some of the weirdest, honest, and just worst asks you've gotten?
The worst ones.
I don't remember.
It's hard to remember because I usually don't put them in the comic.
Yeah, I don't hold on to those things.
We usually ignore
Just-
them
Just
or
toss them into
them.
the. Yeah, I just toss
And
them into the
then
void.
the ones that
Goodbye.
are bad but funny, we'll put in.
Yeah. Stuff that I guess like categories of asks that like are typically not great are ones that are like telling
not
the
a
character.
question.
Yeah, not a question, but being like, "This is stupid and bad, and why'd you do it?" and blah blah blah, and go home and die. or
Those ones
whatever.
usually aren't addressed at the characters. They're usually addressed at me.
Yeah.
So like, but occasionally I'll answer them because I'm a fool.
And I always frown at you, and you always are like, "Stop
But-
frowning."
So most recently there was somebody who was like telling me that I'm fat, and then I responded with, I ate half a pizza today, and you can't do anything about it.
That reminds me of, like,
that is the
and,
correct
and
response.
it was true. I did eat half a pizza that day.
the thing.
That was-
the thing is,
that
it's
was,
just
like,
like,
2
the thing is,
days
it's like,
Yeah.
like there was this I was watching this Let's Play, and this girl named Sabrina, who's part of this Let's Play cast, who is on the bit of the rounder side of people, and she just like said, like, one time she's just like, I'm fat, and her family was like, no sweetie, you're beautiful and great, and she's just like,
No, it's fine. You can do
Yeah.
that.
You can
yeah,
make
but
people
no,
fat.
she said
They're not
but then she said to them, I said I'm fat. I didn't say I was ugly.
Exactly.
Yes.
I think Deanna is cute.
Yes.
I am
Yeah.
also of the plump variety.
And I had people like
I'm
there
a
were
stick.
people that
I-
had problems with how I drew Alphys as being kind of plump, and I don't even think she's like necessarily that plump. I just sort of made her arms sort of like baby pudgy because
She's
I
kinda
think it's
pudgy.
cute.
And like,
Yeah,
listen,
I mean,
it's not like she
considering what her
worked out.
lifestyle was.
Yeah, like yeah, consider her lifestyle.
She sits at the computer and eats ramen and watches anime.
And then
Ramen and
some
Or
other
as-
people
or
were
as most
like,
people call it, or as most people call it, their average Saturday night.
and then
LOL. Dave's
even
your
more
girlfriend.
weirdly, there were people telling Sans that he was fat, and I'm like, he's literally a skeleton.
He's a skeleton.
Oh, I'm so worried that it's
But-
gonna give me heart problems.
Yeah, I literally
Diabetes,
had him
oh,
respond
no.
I
in
remember
that sort of
that
way,
part.
like, oh no, look at all my fat guts. My pancreas is gonna stop working
Oh no, if I have too much fat, I'll definitely die.
of a heart attack. Just
Doesn't have any. of
like
that
he just
stuff.
makes all these references to body parts he doesn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
as long as you're like
beautiful.
living.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
You can be
Uh,
fat and also strong.
yeah.
Like a lot of bodybuilders have to be fat in order to power those muscles, because
Mhm.
otherwise they're just gonna like fall apart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, I mean, there's also the phrase, the phrase thick. Everyone loves
Yeah.
that phrase. That if we're
Yeah,
being
people
honest,
like-
it helps
people like
the
thick so
plus size
much,
people out
and-
a lot more than it's really it had any right to.
I guess thick is just the way of calling someone fat, but in a way that sounds like a compliment.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's what
why
I
it
think that's
happened.
what that word is for. It's so you can compliment someone for being fat if you want,
Yeah.
without sounding like you're being mean. Because words have meaning, and we've attached ideas and feelings to
Yeah,
them.
and
So.
there are definitely like negative connotations to fat for
Okay,
But
dumb
thick-
reasons,
but-
but reasons.
But
Little
thick,
bit of
everyone
that.
loves you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my brother actually had like when that phrase was first entering like the zeitgeist and stuff. My brother had an odd experience with that. He was working with some people on this like school project and stuff that weren't like that were acting kind of dumb, and he was just like, "What are you, what are you thick or something?" And he meant to do
Oh,
like
like-
the British way of,
like-
"Are you like thick-headed or something?" But
Ah.
he didn't know the other way that thick was used, because it was just starting to get around, and they were just like, "What, you think that girl's hot?" And I was just like, "No, as in you thick-headed, you're dumb."
Yeah.
What else have we got?
Yeah. What other questions you want to ask?
Oh yeah, we got some more. Also not gonna lie, Cupcake. When I
What?
first learned about your body type and stuff, it was actually from Shadow, and he was just like just telling you Cupcake's kind of thick, and I'm just like, wait, what? and
Oh yeah. I remember because I showed him a picture of me because we were sharing photos, and so
yeah,
I remember that.
yeah. Anyways, the art style for your comic is unique among the fandom. What's it like being artistically unique among others? Like, a lot of the fandom is like anime inspired and all that, and there is of course anime inspiration in this, but there's also a lot more cartooniness to it than a lot of
I
others.
think
Your art style is sort of based on like the it's because of the hard edges. You wanted to make it look kind of like the game a little bit.
yeah, there was that. I did want to replicate the look of the game as closely as I could, but in a way that I was comfortable with and that I could replicate really well. So initially, I tried to stay "quote unquote" on model as much as I could, but over time, you get more comfortable with the characters and you start taking artistic liberties. I started making Toriel's ears fluffier, for example.
Fluffy
I
ears.
started I started making Frisk's hair fluffier. Just a lot of things got fluffier.
Yeah,
Rounder,
because
smoother.
fluff is
More
great.
proportional.
Sans' head became less of a sphere and more of a bean.
Peanut.
Dude, Devin Daniels in the chat. Do Kara and Azrael come back to life, and do they talk about their states? Oh, do they?
Huh?
What's the question? Like,
Spoilers, though.
do Kara and Azrael come back to life?
And do they talk about their
no.
mistakes? And I'm just like,
Kara doesn't come back to life because they're dead. So.
Well,
I mean, if you want to get
they
technical about
quote-unquote
it,
never
okay,
died.
they
Life.
regain physical form, but
I don't want to spoil anything.
I think we've spoiled a lot of things.
Well,
oh,
stop doing it.
yeah, this thing is spoilerific. I'm sorry if you
Put
guys
spoiler
haven't
warning
read
on
this
Yeah,
has
I
come
mean-
before, which you should.
Go
or
read-
at least
go read that
watch the
before
comic
listening
down and stuff of it.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
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 Go read the comic before you listen to this.
Like, I don't know why someone would be listening to me talking about my comic if they hadn't already read it.
There was
Oh.
literally someone in the chat who hasn't read it yet.
Oh.
Yeah, and well, the thing is,
Doofus.
they're like fans of my podcast.
Okay, well, if you haven't read it, go read it. What are you doing?
Yeah.
They just wanted to hang out with me and Cupcake more. It's not all about you guys, God.
Okay, well, are we allowed to talk about that or not?
Yeah.
Talk about what?
I don't remember.
Kara and Azrael being alive? Yeah. I mean, as alive as any person who's dead can be.
Oh yeah. Speaking of with your Azrael design, it's like I loved how it's like with his horn. It's like when he comes back to life / with Maverick, his horns are like kind of like roots and stuff. I love. That was creative.
I wanted to show that his time as Flowey hadn't like left him unscathed.
Exactly, because that's
Like,
something
he's
I
still
feel.
like that's still something he went through, and it's a part of his past, and he's gonna
Mhm.
carry that for the rest of his life.
Yeah,
Like Flowey lives in him.
exactly. It's like you can revive a character and you can like repair relationships and evolve them, but things are never going to be exactly the same as they used to be. So you can't just be like, snap your fingers and now you're the same person you were a couple years ago, you know?
Yeah, it's just.
But
like,
you can change and evolve into a better place.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, it's just like a lot of stuff I see sometimes with like Azrael and Kara and stuff. I'm just like, guys, they went through some serious stuff. They're not gonna be completely fun after all that. And it's like with the whole like that Flowey part of him will always be with him. I did that more like my Azrael will use like certain words or phrases and stuff, and also the nightmares. Oh god, the nightmares. But that's like check.
Nightmares.
But that's like
And there's nothing.
there's like checklist level stuff when it comes to post-traumatic stress. Like, okay, he has nightmares. What else?
And there's nothing wrong with like writing something that's more self-indulgent. Like if you want to like look at a character's like how they used to be in their past and write stories about them from like that angle, there's nothing wrong with that. You can go back and do that.
Yeah, you don't have to have him be as traumatized as I do, and there are people that make him much more traumatized than I do.
Yeah, and like the people who like Toriel and Asgore, like if you want to explore like how they used to be, you could write about how they met and like their because like they lived together for a long time before Undertale happened, you know.
Oh, you mean like how Cupcake did?
Oh,
What?
good for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I zoned out. What's happening?
I called you out for writing fanfiction about Toriel, about you with you writing for stuff for Toriel and Asgore like before the war and all that.
Oh yeah, I have them in a forbidden love.
Wow.
It's great.
Sounds good.
Meanwhile, I had them like betrothed as children.
Like classic royalty.
I mean, I think they made it work though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hashtag their couple goals. Anyways. All right, more questions. You've collaborated a lot with the community / other content creators. What's it like reacting with members of the community? And do you have some interesting stories to tell about your collab efforts?
Huh. Let me think.
I have a little,
You do?
sort of.
Um,
Well, go
But
ahead.
like, is it like,
It's cool, don't worry.
it's cool, okay.
I actually wanted to revisit the thing I was saying about having more fun working with Drunk Kara. The main reason I did have a lot of fun with that is because I got to like do a lot more with Kara, whereas with the other one, it was more about Gaster. So like I wasn't as involved with
Yeah,
Gaster.
like you
know?
you really like Kara.
Yeah, that's sort of why I had more fun with that
That's true.
because we got to like confront a lot of stuff that's going on in Kara's arc, basically.
Yeah,
so that's why I had fun
they
with that.
reached a turning point at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So I had a lot more to input during that
Yeah.
collab.
I mean, you
Yeah.
still like Gaster, but it's just like, Kara, my child.
Yeah. I guess it's fine. It's just I think the collaboration with Man Who Speaks with Hands, we were focusing more on their Gaster and like his relationship with his dead wife at the time, and like those aren't my characters, so I can't really do anything with them because they're not mine.
Yeah.
So
But we also took it as an opportunity to like push
explore
things,
the idea
push
of
things
like,
forward with Flowey,
Mhm.
for example, and a bunch of other stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was also a way to establish that the portal thing is still open. And what are you guys doing about that? Come on now. Can't just leave that open. Same.
Yeah,
It's still there.
Yeah, it's kind of like how in Game of Thrones, like for the first couple seasons, the ice zombies are there, and I'm just like, and I remember talking to my dad about the show, and he was just like, "Has anyone got to that yet?" And he's just like, "No," and I'm just like, "That's like the bigger
They're too
problem,
busy
isn't
stabbing
it?"
each other.
Yeah.
Just put a curtain in front of the portal. It'll be fine.
Exactly. They need to do at least that much. Other
And
than
now
that,
people
in
will
terms
speculate what's gonna fall out of it next because we said something about it.
Oh
who
no.
knows? Who knows? Maybe something will come.
Maybe
through
something will
mysterious and
maybe
strange.
not fall out of it, but
Get sucked in.
Who knows what'll happen with the thing? Yeah,
And it's just-
maybe the entire world will get sucked into the void by some sort of terrible creature.
somebody asked
no.
me like
That's not gonna
why void beasts don't constantly crawl out of that portal, and I said I put a sign there that says don't, and they know better.
Yeah. Also, like, why would they want to? They have other things to do.
That's funny
I love
because
that
like
reason.
in my AU, that is actually one of the major conflicts. It's like, basically with like gas, basically without spoiling too much, is like with Gaster and Azrael coming back and all that. The void becomes like more open to into their world and stuff, and not gonna say much, but the void in my AU, it's like an eldritch horror where it's just like it's like a consciousness and stuff, and it's just like
Ours is more of a setting,
yeah.
place.
It's definitely eldritch in nature,
It's
but
a non-place.
but it's like I like to think of it in terms of like if you've ever played Dragon Age, it's a lot like the Fade. It's not so much a place as it is a
Collection of ideas.
yeah, a lot of ideas exist there, and because of that, the place is like really mutable. And if you go in expecting something, then you're probably going to get what you expected. So if you go in expecting a nightmare zone, it's going to be a nightmare zone. But
This
if you
is-
go in without realizing it, it'll probably look like the real world, but a little off, or something.
Everything's just slightly to the left.
Yeah. And this is actually sort of a concept
What?
that borrowed a bit
what's the
from-
void like? Yeah, everything's upside down. Yeah, it's weird.
Aw, man.
and it's sort of a concept that is borrowed a little bit from Homestuck or inspired by it, because like they have sort of the
in that one, there's sort of the meta narrative of that all of the fanfic and everything is canonical, but in its own little bubbles floating around in space or what have you,
which is kind of true.
Yeah, because all of these ideas exist, whether or not they interact with each other isn't what matters, but they all exist.
Yeah, it's like in my story though. It's
everything's out there.
It's like in my story though. It's like with it's just like the void is like it is sort of, it's basically like a dimension that can think for itself, and also like how you described like your void being like, oh, it's whatever you think it's going to be and stuff. It's like that's sort of similar to some theories I've heard about the Dark World and stuff in Deltarune, like how it's like shaped by like a person's psyche and all that. But yeah,
the void is just like a nowhere space where everything is, all the ideas and things. So like every AU and whatnot exists within the void. It's just whether or not we bump into each other.
And the closer you
whether or
get
not we
towards
can, whether or not the creators want to do anything with us.
Yeah, and I also even established there's a concept of gray areas, is what we eventually dubbed it, where basically you're not quite in the void, but you're not quite in the world. So
like a pocket dimension.
And an example of this would be the room that you find Gaster in the game.
Yeah.
Great people.
And whenever you find one of the Gaster followers, they're like sort of kind of there, but not really.
Mm-hmm. Back on the topic of the question of like interacting with the community, though, like with our fans in particular, Deanna does like most of it. You do most of like the fan interaction stuff.
I crave it.
Yeah. I tend to way less.
I love it. It's a state.
Yeah, and early on, it sort of gave me feelings of like nobody knows I'm here and people forget about me. But really, that's just because I don't talk to anyone.
Yeah, and I keep telling you that.
Yeah, and I get that.
I would totally see like you getting a bit more interaction after this, like being like, oh hey, you're also a part of this. Yeah, I am. It literally says on the top of the Tumblr dashboard. It does.
If you told me about questions people ask me directly, of course I'd answer them.
Okay.
Because they're asking me a question.
Well, there you have it, folks. If you want to hear from Comic Cat, you gotta send the question directly to Comic Cat.
Yeah. Tomorrow you're just like, you open up your Tumblr and there's like 50 questions.
That's why I like doing these types of interview type things, because it's a lot easier for me to just talk and answer questions rather than like look through a bunch of mail.
You have trouble typing your thoughts.
Yes, exactly. That's why I don't do as much like interacting with fans in that way.
I just type the way I talk.
Yeah. My hands are busy. I'm doing other things.
Okay, so next question. How hard do you find it to balance such a large cast that you've made over the years? Because there's a lot of characters in this AU, especially at this point.
Well, if you tell me how to do that, I'd love to hear it.
Honestly, I don't have that much trouble with it because I just, you just think about, okay, what's going on in this scene, who's here, what's going on, and then you just go from there.
I guess the answer is that we have to know what everybody is doing at all times, and we just go towards the most interesting one.
Yeah, or and this is also where asks come in. Like sometimes I'll be like, "What's Sans doing?" And then we'll go over to Sans and see what he's doing. Or, "What happened to Jason?" And we'll go bother Jason.
And then Jason will be like, I went to the bathroom. I'm fine."
Yeah. So a lot of that is sort of directed by.
That's some epic story going on with all these characters. Maybe I just need to go to the bathroom alone.
Yeah, and sometimes we'll just cut away in the middle of something to go answer a question for someone else if that's what we think is good for a scene. If it'd be funny or something.
Yeah.
So other than that, all I do is like, I kind of want to see more of this person. We should do a scene with them sometime soon.
Yeah, it's like
is how I feel. Like I want more burger pants. More burger pants, Deanna.
Give me more burger pants.
We need to resolve Burger Pants' storyline because, like, a few things haven't been resolved yet.
Yeah, there's some deep shit going on with burger pants. Nobody knows.
You heard it here first,
fine.
folks.
I mean, I did definitely resolve a lot with Burger Pants because
Yeah, he achieved
he's like
his
an
dream.
actor now. He achieved his dream.
He's now a costumed actor.
And
The worst
like
kind.
Metaton recognizes him as the talent that he is.
He has to do a full bodysuit acting, which is the worst thing for anyone. Wearing a character costume.
But hey,
like
he
that.
can do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so, the next question. What are some of your personal favorite moments from the story? Just general parts that you had a good time coming up with, working on, or just enjoy in general?
Oh man, I love so much of it. The silly burger dream that Sans has, that's good. The whole thing where he's fighting a ghost in his head, that was cool.
Mhm.
I liked the stuff with, damn, wait, who am I talking about now? Kara? Yeah. I like pretty much all the terrible things Kara is thinking and doing.
I'm pretty proud of like the Monsterland arc in general.
Oh yeah, that stuff's good. I like that. The ride, the Disney ride is funny. I like that. Where they go on a ride about the history of Monster World or whatever.
And that was the thing
your
with the
souls
Astros.
are mine,
Like,
and
I
that just
literally
goes into a
showed
tiny
them a map
color.
of the. I literally showed them a map of Monsterland, and they pointed out the things that they wanted to go see.
It was fun. And we made a model of the park in like a park game.
Yeah, I made a model of the park in
Mhm.
Planet Coaster.
Yeah, I like this.
Ooh.
I like the
Like,
stuff. with,
I
Caddy
also
and
have a model
Caddy.
of the town, and I have a model of other places.
The very sparse and few moments of Brady and Caddy are funny. Undyne's parents showing up. Undyne talking with her parents and doing stuff with Alphys.
We need to have like Undyne's parents show up again.
Yeah, I mean they'll be at the wedding for sure.
Oh yeah.
Well, obviously. What kind of jerks
They
would they
can't miss
be?
it.
They gotta be.
Yeah, Shark Mom will probably walk Alphys down or something,
Yeah, why not?
or maybe probably Alphys. Her. Someone
Someone's
like
gotta
that.
walk.
We'll
Well,
find it out.
yeah, who would walk her? Cause hold on, my first thought was Asgore, but
That's your boss.
one, that's your boss, and two,
Ex-boss.
he's probably gonna be officiating.
Okay.
Dearly beloved, we're all gathered here today.
And you both love each other, and it's good.
Yeah.
Hooray, we did it. Now kiss.
Oh right, you have vows. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
I now pronounce you man and wife. No, you're both women. Dang it.
Nah, he knows that much.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Okay. Next question.
I now pronounce you
Yeah.
fish. And,
There are a lot of
lizard.
moments I love. It's harder to. I can't point out anything specific because I love so much of it. It's way easier to point out the things
Right.
that I'm like, no, why?
I
Because there's
love-
only like 2 of those.
I loved all the stuff.
Don't talk about that.
I won't.
I loved all the stuff with Maverick a lot because, well, I am an Hasbro
Yeah,
simp,
I love that
but
too.
and also like when we actually figure out what sort of disaster happened, I'm just like, wow, that's really creative and really terrifying.
A really funny comedy moment I love is the part where Jason gets run over. That part's hilarious.
My favorite comedy moment is when I finally get to show them where Temmie Village is, because I knew where Temmie Village was for like ever, since like the beginning of the comic even, but I wasn't able to tell anyone until that moment, and finally it was like, yes!
It wasn't as
Finally.
there wasn't as much build up for it for me. I was just like, yeah, that's where Tammy's are. Shrug.
But for me it felt
Yeah,
like,
that's sure
'cause you
is where
love-
they are. They are. That
Yeah.
is.
I love the
Nothing else.
Temmies.
Yeah, you love the Temmies. I just think they're neat. I like the Temmie lore. That's what I like.
I
Stuff
made
with
a
the
lot.
eggs.
I made extensive Temmie lore.
Yeah, I like the stuff where
Temmie
Bob,
and
how
Tems.
Bob's happen. Yeah, I like the whole thing about Bob's and how the eggs gotta be
Speaking
boiled.
about Tammy, have you know the actual artist has been like streaming a whole bunch of stuff. She's like the most pure thing on this
That's
planet.
I
Yeah.
hear good things about
Yeah.
Temmie.
Yeah.
the awkward person.
Which is why I try to be respectful with Temmie's the creature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're mostly a supporting role in our comic as they were in the game.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just imagine like, I just
They're in the
imagine like
booth.
one day like Toby Fox like does a big thing of like what AUs he's actually seen and it's just like AskFriskandCompany. I really like that one, and then you both just go like.
That'd be cool.
It would be very strange to have my comic acknowledged by the person who made it.
Yeah, no,
I mean, I'd be fine with that. I'd
I
like
would
it.
be fine with it, but I don't know how I'd feel.
I'd feel like, oh, cool, he's seen it. Neat.
And then I'd wonder, like part of
Hope it
it's
didn't
like,
feel too
part
awkward.
of me would be like, are there any things that you like / don't like? And then if he came to me and was like, actually, I don't like this part, I would full on be like, well, this is my AU, it's mine now, he can't do anything to it.
Oh my god.
I understand. I said I don't like for something for
I
the
mean,
I didn't say
I
to go
fully
eat,
respect
to go like
Or-
beat yourself
Or
up.
if you draw the line.
I feel like I completely understand. That's it.
I mean,
I
Toby
don't
Fox probably has like a couple things he's just like, I wish I did that differently with Undertale.
Maybe.
He doesn't seem like the kind of person who would tell a fan of his stuff that he didn't like something.
I mean, let all
Oh,
the
yeah.
music be free. So you can
Yeah.
use all the music for everything, which I think is really nice.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh,
I wanted to say one of my favorite parts from AskFriskandCompany.
What do you say?
So, one of my favorite parts was the "You're a wizard, Frisk."
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
It was just like that was how everybody decided to say it. It's just like, yes.
Yeah. That reminds me. I liked when Monster Kid knocked on the door. That's fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was one of the first moments where I was just like, yeah, this comic's gonna be pretty freaking funny.
I could sit,
Eh,
reminisce of.
Oh.
It was. It just came to me very quickly. How would Monster Kid knock on the door? Would he kick? No, that's not funny enough.
Oh yeah, that.
Also, he might overbalance and fall over.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's got a sturdy noggin.
He's got like one of those pack of
Headbutt.
separate or something.
I mean, with how much he falls over in the game, you
A
know,
lot of strength training.
yeah, his face has had enough damage to be able to withstand things now.
Oh yeah, with
My
the
skull's
recent
literally
archive.
hardened because of all the trips I've had.
I like a lot of stuff. There's a lot of good shit. Especially
Well,
the
yeah,
recent arcs.
well, I hope you would like your story. You're the one who helped make it.
I'm incredibly happy with the suplex that happened recently.
Me too. I like whenever she's doing art, I'll usually suggest her add this or change that or do the pose this way and whatnot. So that's my art contribution.
Like the entire wrestle arc, that whole fight that happened was, I feel like, was one of my better accomplishments because,
Yeah.
like, action scenes are hard.
Oh, they
So
are. No matter if you're drawing them, writing them, or just doing anything with them, they're hard.
It's like an intricate dance of violence.
Yeah.
It's violence. That's a great way of putting it. And why
Yes.
there's so many people that screw it up.
Scripting the fight was fun because, like, yeah, we do a lot of back and forth when we're writing, so it is sort of a teamwork thing. But I do like to take credit for that. I've done a lot
Like
of
a-
writing.
Like, Papyrus's speech afterwards took a billion years to write.
You're welcome. It was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very, very good.
Yay!
Cupcake. I know this
Yes?
is about Ask Frisk and Company, but I would love if you did like the flirt that MK did to Frisk at the start of the comic in your MK voice.
Oh yeah, that one. Hold on, I gotta find it real quick.
It's right at the start. It shouldn't be that hard to find.
Like
you.
Do you need to
Yeah, but I
say-
gotta scroll down. Hold on.
Gotta open up
gosh.
Tumblr.
I don't have a very good Frisk voice.
Yeah.
It's because I have to differentiate Frisk from every other child I do. And
Yeah,
so it ends up just
that's the
sounding
hardest.
rough.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
you
I
gotta make
really
him sound like kid, but also like somewhat gender neutral and all that.
Yeah, and I already do Kara, and Kara's the same, but different. Kara's got a
Yeah.
way different personality, but similar direction in terms of like they're they, them, and all that.
yeah. I found it. Haha.
Think
Yes.
I do okay. Mhm.
So, yo, Frisk, do you have a band-aid? Cause I've scraped my knee falling for you.
Oh gosh, are you hurt? Do you need a band-aid?
Actually, never mind about the band-aid. I don't actually need it, so...
Frisk doesn't even know what's happening.
One of my greatest regrets is that the panel in which Monster Kid is running away in, I forgot to draw their tail.
Oh, really?
What? I didn't even notice that.
Oh.
Pointed it out, I would have known.
I know, nobody's known this whole time, but I needed to confess my sins.
You know his tail could still
This is what keeps me up late at night, okay?
I guess it could be like exactly right behind their back leg.
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah, let's go with that. Oh god.
Legs tail shaped, so I don't see why not. It's
Okay.
like that very convenient lamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was actually that this happened because beforehand I had opened the Ask box.
You can
and-
tell I wasn't involved because I would have been like, draw a Christmas wreath or something on those walls. They're fucking blank.
Wow, I didn't know you guys would be roasting each other like this.
You put a correct? Cool. Why aren't there any cups on it?
I don't know.
It was a long time ago, okay?
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, I had I opened my whatever it was.
It was
I
good enough to
basically
get
was
me
like,
on.
If you want, you can try like role playing at a character, and I might reply. And somebody who was role playing as Monster Kid came up and basically said that at Frisk, but I misread it or didn't understand, and had Frisk reply with the "Oh no, are you hurt?" and
then Monster
and
Kid
then
got
after it
Frisk.
happened, I was like, "Oh wait."
So this is a literal thing that two real people experienced,
So, yeah.
which is why it feels so.
That actually makes a whole bunch of. That's actually pretty dang funny though. Just like the big flirt
I
that
did
that's what they're being flirted with.
This is actually how I was like, oh, you know, that does make sense. That ship, huh? Neat.
Neat.
That is also what started me down that was
Yeah, 'cause
basically
I was
that
like-
person was like, "Oh,
That's right. They do spend like a lot of time together, and they share an umbrella, and Frisk saves
and
their
they're
life.
like
Huh?
similar ages."
Yeah, it all
cultural
makes
things.
sense. They have it. They go through an entire arc and everything. Like Frisk goes from, "Oh, you're a human," and it's like, "No, I'm gonna stand up for you anyway."
Yeah, I just think they're good friends. In
Yeah,
my
They
per-
need good friends at least.
Of course. They are friends. They became friends in the comic. Well, the video game. Whoops, wrong way. Whatever.
All right. Anyways, speaking of which, in your blog there is a lot of headcanon to your interpretation of the Undertale characters. How do you try to balance your own personal thoughts on the characters while also making a good story?
I don't know.
What do you mean balance? I just go with what my headcanon is. If somebody doesn't like my headcanon, they can read a different story.
Frankly,
There's this
for
one
me-
picture that I love where it's just like it was for like this white diamond Steven Universe AU, and it was just the artist. It just had a picture of it's my AU. I'll write it how I want. Just
Yeah,
a
basically.
big sigh.
I mean, for me, I try to like respect the source material and stuff, and
Well,
that's
yeah.
as long as we're doing that, we're fine, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, if I
Mhm.
like, and honestly, I don't think respecting the source material is like necessary in good fiction, but
No.
it is something that I do anyway.
That's just something we do for our setting, because our setting's like a direct continuation of the game. But like,
Yeah.
if your AU is like coffee shop or whatever, you don't have to worry about the source material as
Like,
much.
honestly, if you want to just like take the canon as a loose suggestion, then like more power to you.
Yeah, it's just the type of fanfiction we're writing, sort of like
Yeah.
lends
I mean,
itself.
it's literally like a sequel leading on from.
Yeah, it's sort of meant to feel like a sequel
Yeah.
or a continuation of the
Yeah.
main story,
Yeah, I understand that. Okay, so
plus a bunch of nonsense.
next question. Your story has a
Not
bit of a political edge to
Nonsense
it.
is the source material.
How do you keep the tone, but also add on the political subtext?
Oh, well, I guess, like, a lot of it is just, I didn't set out to be, like, political or anything. It was just, it
How would
started
people
off
react?
with, I was like, okay, what gender is Frisk? Because when I was playing the game, I had thought of them as a boy, and then when I looked around at the other fans and stuff, there was a lot of non-binary people saying, like, this is non-binary rep, we get so little of it, please don't take this away from us. And I was like, okay, it doesn't matter that much to me what gender they are, so I may as well make them non-binary because it matters a lot to some people.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that apparently doing that was a political statement.
Nonsense.
Like, they're just existing is a political statement, which is like dumb.
I guess it's sort of just like we all have things we believe, and if it's
And I happen to believe that non-binary people exist.
yeah, and
And then
because
when
they exist,
people-
then people can be them.
And then when people started being like, there's too many non-binary people in here, I was like, you haven't seen too many non-binary people. Fuck
Like-
you.
Like so much of my friend group is people who don't necessarily subscribe to what is quote unquote, typical and standard. So it's
Yeah.
like a person can be surrounded by weirdos. It
Yeah.
happens. In fact, it's likely because like attracts like a lot of the time.
I remember there was a point where I was like going off on a rant about this, and I said something along the lines of, like, people will list all these things. Like, they'll say, like, what's next? Are you gonna have, like, a trans Navajo teenager with autism next? As if, like, everything that they listed makes them less human, which is, like, messed up. And, like, there's probably a trans Navajo teenager with autism reading this paragraph.
And there was.
And then there was. And
Yeah.
they messaged me and they're like, I felt called out.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you can't say that person doesn't exist and it's unrealistic because that's stupid. There's
Yeah,
like,
that person absolutely exists. Do you
There's so
realize
many
how many
people.
humans exist?
you just haven't seen them yet.
Or maybe they didn't tell you.
Yeah, probably just didn't tell you.
Yeah.
People can be a
Anyway.
lot of things, and it's
And
fine.
then, like, I feel like some of it is a little personal to me. Like, I'm autistic, so, like, I do like seeing good autistic representation because there's a lot of bad representation, and I can understand where that's coming from, and I feel like other people deserve to be seen, and it shouldn't have to be such a big deal to have a character exist.
It's not.
Because the story's not about them being non-binary, it's just a thing that is true. Like, it wouldn't have really changed too much about the story if they were one gender or the other.
At least
But,
initially.
I mean, like, a few things would have changed, obviously.
Yeah, they would have had different reasons for being disliked. They probably just would have been disliked because they weren't a good enough boy. Because they liked princess stuff and whatever.
Yeah, and
If they had been a
that would have
boy.
been an issue too.
Yeah. And then if they had been a girl, it would have been like, you're too much of a boy.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just go for neutral. There you go.
Yeah. And now they don't like you
also,
'cause you're not.
also it's very convenient that you guys, it's very convenient that you guys talked about the whole Frisk being a gender thing, because that was gonna be the next question.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
tied
yeah.
in with that, like the.
There's also the
political
political stuff
whatever.
of the racism.
Yeah, there is also that, and
Yeah.
that became a little more personal because of current events and stuff. But
Yeah.
like, that's always been true, is that like there's going to be people out there that are going to treat you differently, and it's hard. And even if you're trying, the thing I was trying to examine was the, like, in the biopic for man, why did I forget his name? The first black baseball player on the Dodgers.
Oh, Jackie
Him,
Robinson.
Randy Johnson, maybe.
Jackie Robinson.
Jackie Robinson. Why am I? Man, why does he have such a normal name?
Before people get in my case, let me look
His
that up.
name is so normal. I can't remember. Jackie Robinson. Well, there was the reason he was selected is
It was Jackie Robinson.
partially
Yes, I
because-
did screw it up. Woo!
We did it.
so. The
Historical
reason he
figure
got
accuracy.
selected, like when they selected him to be on the Dodgers, the person in charge was like, they're going to revile you. People are going to throw things at you, and you can't react. And it's not fair. But if you like show any amount of aggression, even if it's like justified, they're going to take that and say, "See, all of them are like this." And
it's not fair.
it's not fair,
But it's necessary.
But it
sometimes.
is-
At least in that instance.
yeah, in that instance, they had to choose him for that. And, like, that's sort of the situation the monsters find themselves in, where if they show any amount of aggression to humans, then the humans are going to freak out. And it's not fair because, like, so the kind of stuff that Flowers is currently doing, where she's, like fighting back, even if she, like, fought back to the wrong people and like caused some problems because of it, it's like she's in a sucky situation, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like she's someone who I think deserves sympathy for her situation,
Yeah.
you know?
And it's wrong that like these people have to have so much pressure to be any particular way, the way that
And
society
like
puts
what
pressure
a
on them.
tiny little mistake means that all monsters are evil now.
No.
Exactly.
And it's unreasonable to like do that to anyone.
so
But it happens, and so it happens in the comic too.
And now they're in a situation where they're like gonna possibly fight each other on TV, and how's that gonna affect everyone?
Yep.
Yeah.
Politics, yo.
It's difficult. There's no right answers sometimes. Sometimes it just
That's
sucks.
politics.
Then-
Fish going to yell at each other for a while.
I mean,
Some people
I
are.
personally, as a political science major, yes, I am a biggest of nerd, but yes,
That's another reason why I think Papyrus would make a better captain of the Royal Guard in this particular setting, because Undyne gets angry very easily
And uses force.
and uses force. And,
Sometimes too much force.
And it's fair. Like, she's a good captain and everything. She's not a bad person, but they're going to take any aggression that she might show as, like, bad. Like, there were already news articles saying, like, the captain of the guard, like, screamed at someone. And stuff. And it would have gotten worse. But someone like Papyrus, it's gonna be difficult to spin anything he does in a bad light.
He's nice.
He's very, very nice.
They'll still do it.
They'll
he's a
try.
skeleton.
They'll try,
He's
but
a spooky, scary
they'll
skeleton.
fail. They'll fail. He's too cute.
Yeah.
It's a
Okay.
fantasy, so we can do stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Next thing. How do you? I think you've already basically asked this question from like you being like, oh, I love it so much. But how do you feel about seeing people react the way they did with all the twists and turns that your blog has gone on? Like,
well, yeah, of course, I love it. I crave it. It's what keeps me going. It gives me the serotonin.
Yeah.
It gives me the happy juice.
Yeah.
Our sources of motivation are different. Like I said, I don't do as much fan interaction, but like I do appreciate it, and it does make me like I feel like I feel like, yeah, I did do the right thing when people are like, this really helped me during a tough time and stuff, because for me, I've always been a consumer of media. Like, I always got into fandoms from that side of things. I've never really wrote things or drew things as much as I do now. So I get that perspective, like, of having something like that in your life that you rely on to help you get through the hard times and things like that. And like being a source of inspiration.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely into that. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I'm glad I can be a part of that now.
Yep. All right, wrapping this stuff up because one, we're getting low on questions, and two, I'm getting hungry. I would like to go eat dinner.
That's
Haha. I'm gonna eat a burger.
I ate a burger during this podcast.
I didn't even
What?
notice.
And you can tell because I almost choked on it at one point.
The clues were there.
That's gonna be interesting, but anyways, yeah. Hope. Okay, so the last question is going to be, how do you feel about your current standing in the fandom and what impact you basically left on the fandom? This is a question I typically like to ask as the last question for all the guests that come on here.
I don't know. What is our standing and impact? Good, I think.
Can't complain.
I think we're fine.
I think I've had a positive impact.
I mean, there are people who get angry about things, but usually it's stuff like, I didn't like that pairing, or why are all the characters non-binary, or whatever.
Which is like, first of all, fuck you, and second of all, fuck you.
Yeah.
But,
Damn.
But like, I think the things that I'm proudest of are the people being like, hey, I didn't know that non-binary people existed, thanks. Or conversely, hey, I didn't know that I was non-binary, and I am, thanks for helping me with my non-binary awakening. Or
Like for me, it
this
was
helps
Oran.
normalize gay people for me, or this stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, it helps me relate to things and people that I didn't have a lot of experience with. And like a lot of people, when we did this, we did some things where one of our characters, we delved into, they had some emotional abuse stuff in there.
Yeah,
going
there were a
on.
bunch of people saying, like, that's not actually abuse.
And it's like,
But
nah.
there were just as many other people that were like, hey, I think I realized that the things that my mom or dad or whatever did when they would yell at me and belittle me constantly were actually abuse.
Yeah, because like
Yeah.
that stuff really does get to you. when you're a kid and an authority figure is telling you you're wrong and bad all the time. Yeah, that messes
if
you up.
somebody that you trust and think knows better is always telling you that you suck, then you'll start believing it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and like
just, like,
destroying
personally,
personal
it's, like,
property
for
is
me-
never okay. Threatening
For
to
me-
destroy your kid's property, bad. Don't do that.
Yeah. It's just like for me personally, like with the whole Frisk being like agender and stuff, that was the first time I ever really heard of any sort of non-binary thing. And since I had never heard of it, like anything about it, like not even to like fear it or anything, I was just like, oh, that's cool. and now with that, I'm just like, that's helped me a lot through this because I've talked with people that do not subscribe to the binary.
If
I've talked to trans people. We've even had trans people on here. I mean, our last guest was Gail Rice and all that. But yeah. It's just like that thing. It's like you guys personally helped with that, and thank you.
That's what I personally am proudest of, I guess.
Yeah, and that's what art and stories are for. It's for like expressing and exploring ideas that you might not have like direct experience with, and it's like figuring stuff out and learning about other people.
Just in a sort of weird direction.
It's just you're learning it's just an experience. Like stories are experiences, and it's an indirect experience.
Yeah, and like getting to know these characters is like it does psychologically the same kind of thing that getting to know an actual person in real life would do.
Yeah, exactly. People become less racist when they become friends and understand that, oh, these are humans. I shouldn't be so shitty and bad towards them.
Which is
maybe I should.
But
yeah, ignorance breeds like hatred a lot of the time.
But like familiarity
breeds affection. Yeah. So the
Mm-hmm.
more familiar you become with these groups and people, the more you can appreciate them and respect them as people.
Yeah.
And that's why representation is important for everyone.
Yeah, in media and in politics and whatever else. It's important to get other people's perspectives because then we learn and we are stronger and better.
Shout out though, like if you're just like, oh look, we have our first politician that's like a minority and stuff. Well, yeah, that's great, but if they're just gonna do the same thing as someone in the majority, that doesn't really help.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about politics to say much. All I know is I didn't care much for that Trump guy, and I'm glad he's gone.
Yeah. Well, he's not president.
I'm glad he's not president.
Yeah. He's still here.
Sort of.
I still see him around, and I don't. Anyway, enough of that. We don't need to talk about him.
Yeah.
He's not in our comic or anything, so he's not that important.
Well, I mean, a quarter of him is.
Beyonce's in our comic, but he's not. So I think that's
we established that Trump never existed in AFAC's universe.
Yep.
In his place is a much blander politician.
Much more boring.
I literally made a timeline where it was just like, and I was back in the day when I was thinking, who would it be that is more, who would it be that would be a president that actually like be okay with the monsters and stuff, and just like, well, Bernie Sanders exists, so.
But I feel like he'd be cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyways,
in terms of
let's get off that.
them,
But yeah. So yeah, we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you both so much for being here, and thank you always, Cupcake, for being my co-host.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah. For those who want to check out their stuff, all the links to their Tumblrs and all that are in the description, along with a whole bunch of other stuff. And yeah, and for us specifically next time, for this podcast, we're not actually really sure because for the last couple of times we've basically been relying on Vanwood to give us a whole bunch of give us a whole bunch of connections, and we've kind of run out of that. So we're gonna have to actually go out and get some.
We gotta go out and socialize ourselves again. Darn it.
No.
Oh no!
So yeah, maybe if you guys watching this know some creators personally, you can suggest them to come on. That'd be great, or anything like that. But yeah, basically we'll get back to you. Hopefully the next episode won't take as long as this one took to come out. But that was more us being lazy and forgetful than anything, really. So yeah. Anyways, hope you all have a good night. Take care. And remember, as always, stay determined.
Stay determined.
Woo!
And we'll see you all